Hello, Adam. Good morning and welcome to day 2, mate.
I was in fact muted for that entire part. So intro once again. Good morning, everybody, here from sweltering Adelaide, Australia. My name is Adam Kemley. I'll be your host for proceedings today for this day 2 of the Uprising Major from the wonderful Australia. Luckily enough, we were able to run a 100-person major event. This is our day 2. This is our game 4. I'm joined by the wonderful Nick Standing. Please introduce yourself again, my brother. I apologise for my lack of unmutingness.
No worries. Hello, Adam, and hello to everybody. Welcome to day 2 of Adelaide Uprising.
That's exactly right, man. Up on your viewing experience right now, we have the leaderboard. Sitting in first place, our man, the good doctor from the Normal Blokes, Liam Hackett, playing 60 Wordbearer possessed, absolutely crushing it. 3 wins, 294 points, 2 100-point wins in the book. He's gotten the tonners, and he's playing on our table 1 against Gabe, Deload. I've often thought his name was Delolio, but it's Gabe Deload playing Drakari, Mono Drakari, guys. And so far, he is crushing and doing a great job. So that'll be our top table for your viewing experience. And then jumping a little bit all over the place for our table 2, we have Mr. Shane Condi sitting on table 5. Sorry, in position 5. We put that one on because it's Tyranids. And I'm not sure when we're going to be able to put Tyranids on a top table again. So I figure he's cracked the top 5. He deserves to have one of our spots. And he's playing against Mr. Michael Magenta, who we had on, I believe it was on round 1.
Yeah, round 1 he was on.
Yeah, he's playing the really interesting, 1/3 Eldari, 2/3 Harlequins list with the Wraith Seers and the Wraith Lords and stuff. And then to wrap it up, we have Chris Appleby and James Milner. So that's Custodes versus Pure Renegade Knights. Really interesting combination. Actually, I'm not sure if it's Pure Renegade Knights. Might have to double check with that as we run through the list. There's another interesting list. We thought we're getting some really strong showings from Custodes, and we're going to ride that a little bit. Let that be a bit of the theme for the last couple of games, just to see where they're lying at the moment, because he is, the only Custode in the top 10. But man, really cool top 10, guys. Any questions in the chat about that top 10, please line it up, because right now those are our 10 undefeated players. There might be a couple more stragglers in the top 20. But yeah, we're going to jump in, have a look at our 4 tables. I'll transition that over momentarily. Nick, what are you excited for this round 1? Man, there's a lot going on. Just
looking at that leaderboard, what we can see is the cream is starting to rise to the top there, and some of the biggest names in Australia are starting to work their way up into position to get into that T-Whip spot. Guys like Liam Hackett and Soli and Marigold, all those boys that we know are the cream of the crop of Australia, and they're slowly starting to get up to the top there. So it's definitely getting to the pointy end of the tournament, even though it's already like still beginning. It's only day 2.
Yeah, this is
round 4 of an 8-down tourney. So.
Dude, round 4, this is just the beginning, man. This is like halfway. After this game, they'll be halfway through this event, which is actually ridiculous to think all these players.
We're already seeing some of the premium matchups that we were expecting to see towards the end of the tournament. So lock yourself in, people. Get ready for today. We have got some good games ready for you.
You'll have coverage of 9 games today, 3 for this round, 3 for the next, 3 for the one after that. Just looking at our 4 table screen, we can already see the Knights are making some actions. Of course, the Knights are going to be a pretty quick one to get off the starting mark. And of course, they're up against Custodes. So maybe we jump in and have a look at that one first up. Have you got? I think I sent you the Custodes list. If you got that one ready, brother, you can reel that one off, and we can get some ideas of what these.
Mate, I certainly do. Table. And in the chat yesterday, we know Custodes is one of the most popular armies getting around. People love seeing their Custodes, as do you and I, Adam. So let's have a look through it. We are running a Dread Host, Shield Host. We have a Shield Captain with a Radiant Mantle, a Sentinel Blade, a Storm Shield, 10,000 heroes. We have a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bike. He's got all of the normal madness that they come with. Rather than the extra 2 wounds, he has gone with Untoppable Destroyer, which has been, I believe, was touched on in the FAQ. But we'll have a chat with that later. George G in the chat will no doubt hook us up with that.
Exactly right.
Okay. So troop-wise, he is running 4 Sagittarum. He has a unit of 6 Alaris. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is correct. Vexillus Praetor. He has 1 Palace Grab Tank, and then he is running a unit of 5 Venatari. And then he has 2 Telemon Heavy Dreadnoughts today.
2 Telemons. I'll read that out again. But 2. What a baller.
So he's got 1. Both of them have 1 Storm Cannon. And a fist. So he's got a fist on one.
Yeah.
One arm, and then he's got a gun on the other. So Gundam, who was in here yesterday, he was wanting some more Telemons. So get back in here, mate. Here's some Telemons for you.
Dude, I love them in this matchup. We're going to see stompy, big old boys going at it. I love it a lot. To his opponent, Mr. Chris Appleby, he is running Dreadhost. He's running Super Heavy Detachment. He has a custom household, Abominable Constitution, Pride-Filled Fury. We might have to get somebody in the chat to tell us what that is. Unfortunately, I'm not up to date with the custom traits for Dread households. He has a Data Spoiler, Corrupted Heirloom as a Heavy Stubber, Iron Missile Pod, 2 Rapid-Fire Battle Cannons, Zintian Pyro Throne. Then there's another Despoiler, this one with 2 Avenger Gatling Cannons, of course, and an Ironstorm Missile Pod. And then a third Despoiler, this one with 2 Thermal Cannons. So he's got 2 of each. He's got 2 Avengers, 2 Battle Cannons, 2 Thermal Cannons. Then he has a unit of 2 War Dogs. These ones are Autocannons, so Helverin-esque, for those of you who might not be aware. And then he has a single one. This one is a Warglaive, so it's a Thermal Spear and a Reaper Chainglaive. 2,000 points on the nose, so 3 Little Knights, 3 Big Knights. And he's 3-0, guys. He is actually doing a hell of a lot of stomping. And for our deployment, we can see the Thermal Knight is the one just to the right of the top objective. And he's pushed himself out to get on that one. Of course, that is the upside and the downside of the knights. You have big stompy knights that are very hard to remove. Like even a 1-wound knight can do so much damage especially into Custodes with all these spiking multi-damage weapons. But the issue is you only have he's only got 6 units to hold and try and win the primary. This is a bit of a rough mission for him as well. I believe this is what's it called? It's a 6th objective mission in Hammer and Anvil. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Is it Vital Intelligence? Feel like it's Vital Intelligence, and so it becomes a bit rough for him. So a 3 and 3.
Just having a look now.
So I suppose this is better than it might be better in some ways than a 5-1 objective against Custodes. But with the 6, he's actually able to even up the primary pretty consistently. Hold down your 3. The Custodes have to come to you to mess that up. And I do quite like where he's sitting right now. He's lined up a bunch of shots. Rapid fire battle cannons are sitting pretty stable. None of the Custodes who have been deployed quite defensively can really leave where they've hunkered up. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, he's got a Palace Grav Tank? Or is that a Telemon in the bottom left?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a Palace Grav Tank.
Looks like a Palace, man.
He's got a single Palace Grav Tank in the bottom left-hand corner. Behind the main ruin in his deployment zone, he has at least got 1 Shield Captain. He doesn't have any Virtus Praetors. That's his Shield Captain. In front of that, I expect there to be either some Sagittarum or possibly even his Laris if he decided to deploy him, which I would assume he did not, because I think that would be a bad plan. He has got a Vexillus Praetor as well.
Yeah, that's definitely bad, yeah.
With the Magnifica. So that Thermal Knight, that's right to just the one that's in the closest range for all of them to get into combat with, might be able to creep up to that wall and then get a move advance through that to deliver the Alaris next turn. But what's in the top left-hand corner that you can see there? So there's a chunky unit of...
That seems to be a Telemon to me.
In the top left-hand corner?
No, sorry, that's the Venatari that he's got there.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's the Venatari, right?
That's an odd choice. I would have... When I'm using my Venatari, I like to drop them. So they're a fair bit out of play there.
So what's the points cost on a Venatari, and what's the range of their kinetic destroyers? Because that's really what
18-inch range. So
yeah.
It seems a bit odd. They've got a 12-inch move, so they have some move there. But the 18-inch range.
Interesting.
They probably could still threat that one knight, but yeah, I'd be looking at dropping them down, especially against these knights where he's not able to screen out the board. Well, those Venatari could literally just drop basically anywhere they want.
Well, I'm only seeing 1 Telemon on the board right now. He might have done something cheeky and deep struck one of them. Hence, he had to put the Venatari on the table.
Might do.
Yeah, it would have been an interesting play if he did. Yep, you go.
That one on the left-hand side could actually be the second one Telemon going down now. I'm not sure. It kind of looks like smaller bases. They're a little bit off screen.
Yeah, we're losing a couple of inches on the left-hand side of the table. Unfortunately,
here we go. So this looks like the Sagittarium going down now.
Yeah, it looks like they've moved. They were behind those crates and their boots getting out to get on that leftmost objective.
Yep.
It's an interesting
bit of a backfield camper there.
Yeah, it's an interesting bit of interplay here. It's going to be pretty cagey for a couple of turns. I expect this to really shift when the Alaris hit the table because they can come down and legitimately just wipe out a knight, right?
It's definitely, and even the those Telemons, I'd be getting them into there too. A couple of shots from their guns. I'll be picking on a knight a turn if I was this Custodes player here. That one that he's got pushed up front on the left hand side, I'd be looking at taking out that first, and then pretty much just coming right through.
Well, that's right. The thermal cannon knight's the one that's going to spike the damage and do the most work. Admittedly, if he rolls the right d6s for the amount of shots, but that's the one that's the most deadly. Admittedly, he can go to 3 damage on his battle cannons, I believe, or +1 damage on all these things. So the 3 damage Avengers, sorry, not the battle cannon, 3 damage Avengers can do a lot of work into things like the Sagittarium, etc. But if you look at where he's put his Telemon, He's actually been very clever there. So the Telemon is looking out and he's got a nice little direct line of sight into the Avenger Despoiler at the bottom of the table. The really quite nice bit of thing there is that those Avengers are going to wound that Telemon on 5s, and then they're going to get -1 damage. So even if they are damage 2, they're going to damage 1. And yeah, that Telemon is just going to jump those off and be like, sorry, brother, I don't care.
Plus neg 1 to hit as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus neg 1 to hit as well is really going to go a long way against them.
Yeah,
so let's just have a bit of a good overview of what this game's going to do. Let's have a look at these secondaries that we've got coming in, because these boys have been very good to us and they've got them straight in there. So I'll go through the Custodes players. Shane Miller there. He's gone with Engage on all fronts, While We Stand, and Titan Hunter. Are you surprised by any of those, Adam?
Zero surprises there. While We Stand is an interesting one. I suppose that is his Alaris brick and the 2 Telemons, right?
Yes, that would be correct.
Surely. Unless the Venatari have more points. I'll check on that really quick.
I'd say the Venatari, yeah.
You check on that real quick. I'll go through the Knights. Engage on all fronts. That's an interesting pick against a melee like.
No, the Venatari are only 275.
So it is the 2 Telemons and the Alaris, right?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting pick for Engage on all fronts by the Chaos Knight player. I wouldn't have thought he would have wanted to press up. Having 3 big shooting knights, you wouldn't have thought you want to press up into the Custodes. So
the next one is the one that's got me scratching me noggin.
While We Stand, We Fight. His 3 big knights. Any one of those go down, it's a 5-point swing. Now the big issue there is that maybe Chris Appleby's just been like, I just need to get a handful of points from my opponent. Yeah, if I get 5 points for While We Stand, I'm good. Because you see it. So see one of the advantages that the Knights really have is so they have the ability that through their durability they can go up and they can hold that top middle objective. It's very exposed. All the other 3 for each opponent, apart from the ones diagonally bottom left hand corner and top right hand corner, those are 2 mirrored exposed objectives, and the other 4 are very hidden. So the Knights player is probably thinking, hey, I can just win the primary by putting 2 or 3 of my Knights able to look and put view onto that bottom left hand objective, and all of a sudden I can hold 3, he can only hold 2. I'm going to start getting the 15s. Maybe that's what he's thinking there, because I actually don't mind that idea, don't mind that plan. If you see he's got 2 of his Knights lined up, they're always going to get fields of fire onto that objective. And I can't see anything apart from dumping 2 Telemons on there that's going to survive all 3 of these Knights shooting at it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's going to have to hide and sort of, like you mentioned, he's got those bottom 2 on the left-hand side completely exposed by his Knights there, so he'll be able to just completely just shoot those off. He'll be able to hold the 2 that he's on his side, and then even some of the Knights on that top right-hand side could have a plink at the one on the top left. So, like you've mentioned there, he's got all sort of shooting lanes covered.
Yep.
It's just whether or not he can shoot the Custodes off them.
Exactly right, my man. Interesting. And the last one is minimize losses. So, of course, that's the mission specific. So that is for vital intelligence, isn't it? Someone please confirm or deny that is the mission we're playing. To my mind,
I thought it was Scorched Earth, I believe.
Oh, you might be correct, actually. You might be correct. I might get that confirmed.
So the secondary for that is at the end of the battle, a player scores 6 VPs if one objective marker is removed from the battlefield due to successful raise objectives. If that is the case, that would make sense for the Knights player.
Yes, that would. We're going to jump over. We're going to look at another one of our games, but I just want to see if a significant amount of wounds got done to any of these Knights turn 1 from what I assume would just be Telemon shooting. So this should be legitimately a very, very quick game, right?
Yeah, it definitely should be. I'm very interested to see, because that Telemon you mentioned in the bottom left-hand side, whether or not the base can fit through that bit of ruin there, because it's a bit tight. Having the fist on there, I want to see him get up close in combat, because the fist is where the actual damage is. So
exactly right, I agree.
Be good to see when we go back.
We jumped over to our Shane Condy and Michael Magentis game. So those of you might remember Michael Magentis from our round 1 yesterday, playing his Wraith Construct and Harlequin's army. And dude, he's playing against Tyranids, and we're like, Tyranids are 3-0. We got to get them on. No way, no how. We cannot have Tyranids on for this event. And so it looks like we've got a first turn by the Tyranids, being quite aggressive at the top of the board. Looks like they moved advanced, possibly even double moved a unit of Gaunts. Actually, I'm going to take that back, and we're going to retract and think that the Tau have gone first. Sorry, not the Tau, the Eldar have gone first. As you can see, there's a Star Weaver that's jumped all the way to the top in the top right-hand corner objective for his opponent. There's only no way he could have done that during the Tyranids' turn. Some of the opinion the Eldari has gone first. Makes things a bit interesting for how the terms of this game goes. Very kind of a bit of everything list by the Tyranids. Which list did I send you? Which one do you want to read out, mate?
I've got the Eldari list.
Reel it off from us, brother.
All right, no worries. So he has a Farseer Skyrunner. He's got Fortune, Executioner, Focus Will. We have another Warlock Skyrunner, Focus Will. What have we see? So we've got some heavy support. He's got a Wraith Lord, Flamer, and 2 Star Cannons.
Mhm.
He's got that again on another Wraith Lord. Then he's got 2 Wraith Seers. Both of them have Smite. One of them has Protect and Jinx and a D Cannon. The other one has Quicken and Restrain and a D Cannon. Then we have another detachment here. He's got the Mask Form, the Frozen Stars. So this is his Harlequins, I believe.
Yep.
Enigmas of the Black Library. His Shadow Seer. He's got a Troop Master. He has a 1, 2, 3 units of troops, all the same. They have Harlequin Caresses on 3, a Shuriken Pistol on 2, and a Harlequin's Blade on 1. So he has 5 lots of them. Then he has the Death Gesture. Then he has 2 units of Star Weavers. Then he's maxed out. He's gone for 5 lots of them. So 5 lots of Star Weavers, all for his troops to cruise around in, and no doubt make a run for that block party in the top left, which we saw.
Back in the block party. That's the running theme of this table, by the way, guys. There's a balcony or block party that happens every game in the top left-hand ruin. Everyone just seems drawn to that position in every game we've called of this so far. For some reason, a disproportionate amount of units end up in that ruin, and we just have no idea why they ever want to be there, because there's been a couple of games where there's been no objectives.
Even if it's detrimental to the game.
There's been no reason to be in there, and people are just like dogpiling all sorts of weird stuff in there. It was pretty funny last couple of games. But his opponent, Mr. Condi, is playing. Dude, he's playing pure. No hive mind. He's just playing pure nids. I love it. He has a Leviathan detachment, Broodlord, Malanthrope. Broodlord has Psychic Scream, and the Resonance Barb for that good +1 and all that other good stuff. Malanthrope, who is his actual Warlord, for the -1 bubble. A unit of 20 Termagants, 9 of which have Devourers. A unit of another 20 Termagants with 10 Devourers. 3 units of 3 Tyranid Warriors. I'm actually coming around to the idea of 3 units of 3 of those, because that's the only real thing, troops-wise, that Tyranids can chuck on an objective in cover and actually feel like they might bounce off like a handful of bolter shots, which is a little bit tragic. But I think it's the best they're going to be able to do to hold, especially on these 6 objective missions. Yep. Into the elites, he has a Lictor. Don't leave home without it. It is your Scramblers enablers, your Engage enabler. Love it to death. He has a Maleceptor. That is an interesting one. Going 3-0 with a Maleceptor, already you're a legend in my books. Like the big brain bug. He has Catalyst. Then heavy support, he has a Barb Hero Duel, which I think was one of the biggest winners from the FAQ changes. This guy comes in at 275 points. So he's cheaper than the Telemon, and he's an absolute baller. Love him to death. Tyrannifex as well, with Acid Spray, Adaptive Biology, Dermic Symbiosis, which I believe is the Invuln. Someone might correct me in the chat. And then he has a Patrol Detachment of Highfleet Chronos. He has a Neurothrope who has Symbiostorm. A unit of 3 Rippers, a unit of 5 Hive Guard, of course, with Impalers, and 3 Biovores with an Exocrine. So he's got his kind of a bit of everything Leviathan attachment, and then he's got his shooty, punitive Chronos attachment. And to the right of his deployment, you see in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got the Hero Jewel. In front of those, we've got some Warriors, and then we've got a unit of 20 Termagants. To the right, up in that, we have the Brain Bug, we have the Maleceptor. What a freaking champion. I want to see him do something special. Not that I think he will, but I want to see it. Above that, we've probably got what I assume is the start of his Biovores, and then above that we have the either 3 Warriors or the Hive Guard. I wouldn't be surprised if the Hive Guard are actually staged behind the top right-hand ruin. I feel like the Exocrine might be there as well. To the left of the Warriors, what I believe is on that back objective, we have his Malanthrope, which is bubbled up to give protection to a bunch of different things. I don't know if he's actually within 3 of anything. There has to be something within inside that ruin that's giving him coverage, because otherwise that Malanthrope can be shot, which I think is pretty interesting. Above him we have the Tyrannifex with some Warriors. To the left of them we have a bunch of Termagants that have either gotten a big advance or a double move through whatever it is, the one that you guys die on ones. As you can see, he's just killed a Skyweaver as well. Whether that was empty, it seems like it was. The troop might have been the ones that jumped out onto that top left-hand objective. But mate, what are you seeing here? It's a bit of a neutral. We've seen Mr. Michael Magentis play a very defensive postured Eldari army to great effect in his last couple of games. But this one looks like the issue is going to be forced pretty early for him by the Nids, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. We're seeing Shane here on the front foot early. He's bringing all these little gribblies out there, taking as many objectives as he can, and he's forcing Michael to actually take the game from him. So this is obviously a common point that we see from Tyranid players. He's just going to swarm the objectives, take as much as he can, do some little damage. I expect to see a lot of little counter assault elements coming out to take away all the little jet bikes and all the little true players and stuff that he can do. Yeah, it's an interesting game here. It's going to be good. I'm liking it. Shall we go through the secondaries for each player?
Yes, please. Reel them off.
All right, I'll start with the Eldari. So Michael Magentis is taking While We Stand, We Fight. He has taken Raise the Banners and Engage on all fronts. These are some interesting choices from Michael.
Yeah, raising the banners seems a little interesting for this game. I suppose with the speed of the Tyranids might turn this on its head. Admittedly, like all the the Gaunt units can pull down whatever banner they want. They can pull down 2 a turn technically. So it looks like we've already finished the Tyranid turn 1. We're into the Harlequins turn 2. I believe Shane is going to cop a bit of a pounding here on his OBSEC. If I was Mr. Magentis, I would 100% be targeting out, get every single Gaunt off the table because you need them gone in order to play that banners. Without being able to play banners, I'm not sure you can win this game.
Yeah.
While we stands make all the sense in the world though. But how do you feel about Engage on this table?
I'm not really sure either. I'm sure. Obviously, that's why he shot that little jet bike that he had. The Starweaver on the top right hand side. The Starweaver up there to get that. But does he have enough units to just randomly throw them away? Because Shane, has the ability to kill those little one-off units with the army that he has here. So I'm seeing a lot of throwaway units possibly from the Eldari here. But do they have that for 5 turns? I don't think they do. Not to be able to keep while the banners raise the banners while we stand fine as well.
So he has to actually just start eating away the things that will double move and pull down his banners. Because because hilariously, that is what Harlequins do to you all the time. They Twilight Path, sometimes spend a CP to get a 6 on the advance and just come pull down all your banners, mess with all your primary. These Nids can do the same thing. So he has to really kind of watch himself. Of course, and the other issue is he has all these fusion pistols. They're the best thing he has for taking care of these big Griblies. But if he bleeds those out, getting him out to charge and kill the OBSEC off, he might not be able to play the primary as well. Because things like the Barbed Hierodule, the Tyrannifex, and then that'll be backed up by the Warriors pushing up the board in the later turns. Could start to be a bit wonky for him, but we'll see, because last thing he wants to do is bleed himself out early. I would like to see some Wraith Construct and some of the big Griblies go toe-to-toe, because it's just not something you see very often. But I'll quickly jump into Mr. Condi's secondary. He's taking engage on all fronts. That makes all the sense in the world. He's done exactly the same thing his opponent did, but unfortunately, due to the size of his units, he probably wasn't able to clear the mid-board with those Gaunts, but next turn it shouldn't be an issue for him. Deploy Scramblers, that makes all the sense in the world as well. He's got a couple of Deep Strikers and the ability to double move, which also doubles down on what Michael Magentis looks like he's doing right now in targeting out those Gaunts. And then his last one is Grind Them Down. So Grind Them Down does seem like a cute little choice. There is a lot of wounds in big Griblies here. And that's what, is it every 10 wounds you get a point? Yeah, it's every 10 wounds of damage.
I believe it's the other way around. So the Tyranid player is one that's taken him, and it's
apologies,
more units during a turn.
Yeah, it's kill more. Keep getting it mixed up. What's the one? It's thin their ranks is the one I'm talking about, or what I'm thinking of. Yeah, so the Tyranid player taking kill more makes a lot of sense. You kill a transport, you kill the 5
troop, definitely does.
2 kills, pretty good.
Especially as we touched on earlier, engage on all fronts. It was a choice by Michael, so he's going to be possibly throwing out a couple of little units. He's done it again there. If you look at the top of the board there, a little Starweaver's poked its little nose out. It's doing the same at the back of that block party. So they're little units that Shane's going to be able to just plink off and get them ground down points. So I see him maxing that out, I do.
I see him maxing that out as well. He should do pretty well there. We're going to transition
as well as engage and deploy scramblers, actually.
Yeah, he should get a good score. We're going to transition over to our top table game. It looks like deployment has just finished for either deployment or turn 1 has just finished for Mr. Gabe. So we have Gabe Deload versus Liam Hackett. This is table 1, guys. These are the 2 top table players at the moment. Liam Hackett playing Chaos Space Marines, pure Chaos freaking Space Marines. That is my first freaking for the day. And man, what a list it is. It is clubbing everybody so far. Undefeated in the Masters and doing really, really, really well. But which list do you want to go over first? Because these are both pretty interesting, both pretty deep if no one has seen them as of yet.
You go first, mate. You run through the Eldari.
Yeah, we'll do. So Gabe's undefeated playing pure Dark Eldar, which is what he's kind of known for. He's a bit of a faction master with this. And we know that the recent points changes was very kind to Dark Eldar. So running that down, he has a Cult of the Red Grief Witch Cult detachment. This is a patrol. Has Succubus, a unit of 10 Witches with a couple of Shardnets and Impalers. A unit of 6 Reavers, a unit of 6 Reavers, and 2 Raiders with Dark Lances and Phantasm Grenade Launchers. There's another patrol. This one is of Dark Technomancers, Master of Mutagens, 2 Homunculuses with Hex Rifles, Ichor Injectors. One has a Nightmare Doll, one has the Helm of Spite. 1, 2, 3 units of Racks, each one of those having Hex Rifles and Ossifactors. Then he has a Reaper, which is the Forge World upgraded, what is it? Ravager. Then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Splitter Cannon, Splinter Rifle Venoms. So he's quite a bit MSU there. Then below that, he has another Dark Technomancer's Master of Mutagens. He has another Homunculus with the Hex Rifle, Archer Injector. Another 3 units of Rax with the same, the Hex Rifles and the Ossifactors, of course, to go in the 5 Venoms that he took. And then he has a big unit of Scourges with Shredders and 2 more Reapers. So 3 Reapers, 5 Venoms, 2 Raiders, a bunch of Reavers, and a bunch of Racks. It's a good list. It's well-rounded. It's very cheap now. Like, it's very well-pointed. I think he might have overextended. I don't want to say that his turn 1 may have been a mistake, but I do not feel like there's any need to get this close to these possessed. You might need to run us through that list so people get a quick picture of what could be coming his way by going first and coming forward so aggressively. So jump in and tell us about Liam Hackett's list, mate.
Yeah, no worries. And for those unaware, the Masters event ran before this event on the Friday here in Australia, and Liam Hackett, with this list, I do believe, has become the Australian Master. So he is the number 1 player at the moment to beat, and this is the number 1 list to beat. So going through his list here, he is running a Wordbearer's Legion, which is disgusting me as an Ultramarines player. He has a HQ-wise, he has a Dark Apostle with a Master of the Union, the Apostle of the Dark Council, Benediction of Darkness. He's got all the things in there. He's got a Master of Khorne on there. Then after that, he has a Master of Possession, Cursed Earth, Infernal Power with the Mark of Zench. He has a Sorcerer there with Baleful Icon and the Mark of Slanesh and Warp Time. Then he has 3 units of 10 Chaos Cultists as his troops. Elites-wise, where all the magic happens for him, he has 3 big units of 20 Slanesh Possessed.
My God, do they do work. They are absolutely terrifying.
And then that's not even the end of the list. So after that, he has a Patrol Detachment. He has a Chaos Alliance, which is Slanesh. He has, this is a Slaneshi name, Slyle Eski, I think, Delightful Agony, and Hysterical Frenzy. Then he has finishing it off, he has 10 Demonettes.
Yeah, so it's a lot. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. You might look at this and just think, this is just 60 Possessed charging into your face. But so he used to play this list as Creations of Bile, and that was to get a bunch of extra toughness and to be able to sling, advance, and charge, do a lot of things of this ilk. He's changed it over to Wordbearers in order to double down and get some reliability on getting a lot of his psychic powers off. So what he'll do in a lot of cases, he'll bubble up his 60 Possessed, he won't sling them at you, which is what you're expecting, and he will auto get off Cursed Earth. And then he has 60 Possessed with a 4+ invulnerable save. One of them will have Delightful Agonies for a 5+ Feel No Pain as well. And that'll probably be the one that you can shoot the most, but they'll also be the one that probably has the most cover. Now, then he will just start dumping one into you. Every turn, you'll cop 1 unit of Possessed to the face. But he won't do that from the backboard, which is what he used to do with the Creations of Bile. He used to sit in the back on 2 or 3 objectives, and 60 Possessed would go all the way across the board with Warp Time and eat like half your army. But now he just moves up into the middle. He bullies you, creates so much more pressure, denies you from wanting to move up in any meaningful way, and then eats you. And so it's turned out to be a lot more reliable, a lot more durable, and allows to play him a lot more of a long game. Because what before it was his army did nothing but run at you, and if you could pinch it into him, they didn't have the durability increased that you wouldn't take a bunch of wounds unnecessarily. So he's moving out a unit of Possessed now. It looks like he's got a decent advance here, and that is what Celeste brings to the table. She is a Slanesh demon, and she has an aura of advance and charge. So yeah, that really gives him back what he lost when he switched off Creations of Bile. Not to say, so Liam and I were discussing this game yesterday over dinner because he had some concerns. The Reapers cause him a lot of issues. The Reapers can go, because they are blast, they automatically get 2d6, so 12 shots, which through Dark Technomancers can be pumped up to 2 damage. Automatically getting, I think, something in the region of 12 shots each at Strength 5, -1, or -2 damage, if I remember that correctly, into these Possessed from 3 of them is actually kind of horrific for him to cop every turn, and they can actually, between them and the +1 to wound Venoms, can do a hell of a lot of damage. So he was really worried. I told him it was really going to depend on what table you get, and I can say right now, he was very happy with the table he got. Very, very, very happy.
Oh, this is the number 1 line of sight blocking table that we have.
Yes, and it's just BCP and doing what BCP does, no influence by ours, and no influence by the TO. This is just luck of the draw for him. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and yeah, it's pronounced Celeste. Is pretty much
Celeste, my bad.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's G-dub pronunciation and alliteration. There's no way to know for sure what they intend. Like the good old rowboat. You surely will know.
All right.
How awful.
Before we get too deep into this game, how about we run through the secondaries here?
Yeah, give us one. Tell us about it.
All right, so I'll go through Liam's. So he has gone with minimise losses. He's gone with raise the banners and grind them down.
So yeah, kill
you
more.
You probably know this better than me, Adam. Are these what he's been taking currently over the weekend?
With the exception of raised banners, this is pretty consistent to what he's been doing.
Yep.
I do agree with his raised banners in this mission because I think as soon as what I think is going to happen, as soon as Gabe loses his first wave, Gabe's ability to tear down banners again is probably non-existent unless he was willing to get racks out of Venoms, which will be playing in to grind them down for what Liam wants to do. Admittedly, what Liam wants to do is get a lot of wraps off. We were talking about this before. What he wants to do is 20 possessed charge of Venom. They sling themselves as far past and around the Venom as possible so that when the racks get deployed, they can't escape, even with the 2 CP to get the bigger disembark. They can't escape, they will get tapped, will get wrapped. Because of the footprint of his units and being on the 32 bases now, he can really reach out and do a lot of damage, especially with what I expect to be a warp time coming in from that unit that's extended to the top of the big line side piece of blocking terrain. As you can see with the rest of his army, he has streamed towards right and towards the middle. He's going to probably almost definitely eat those 2 units of Reavers. I really hope that Raider doesn't have anything in it. I'm actually hoping for Gabe's point of view that Raider doesn't have anything in it. Otherwise, what comes out will get wrapped and the Ravagers will not have much to do. And I'm also of the opinion that the unit that is going to be extending past the line of sight blocking terrain into the top to go for that top right-hand Venom probably is going to be fully buffed. It'll probably have Delightful Agonies. It'll have every possible buff he can put on it. And Liam will just sit there and see what he can spike. On the damage front, are you aware of how much damage these guys do?
The possessed?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the charge, they are mental, man.
Absolutely mental. Up to 5 attacks each with the right buffs and can spike to go up to 2 damage being word bearers. So he only needs like...
2 damage is nuts.
He only needs like 3 of these to kill pretty much anything on the Dark Eldar side of the board. I think the issue with this matchup is Gabe needs to play perfectly. Liam doesn't. Liam just needs to do what he does, but Gabe has the tools to absolutely ruin Liam's day. But the onus is on Gabe to make that happen. Liam just needs to do what his army does, and he can win this game. Gabe needs to really throw it against the wall, make some crazy good plays, show his skill, show his prowess, and get it all done. But yeah, what do you think of this first turn play by Gabe?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's very aggressive. He's come up and jumped over that blocker, that bridge that we've been talking about there. And like the chat's mentioned, it's probably a bit too much terrain for the table. Like, looking at it, those whole 60 possessed are definitely able to hide behind that bridge that we've got there if Liam so needed to. So I guess that could also dictate what Gabe's thinking here. But he's come up here. He's been very aggressive. I'm pretty certain everything that he has on that side of the bridge is just going to be touched. Then it is going to die. And then Liam is going to push forward and he's just going to get some extra free movement, which is probably what he wanted anyway. Then he's just going to get all these possessed onto the other side of that bridge and then start causing some real damage there for Gabe.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the guys in the bottom are spot on. I had a good chat with the guys I'm staying with last night about some of not the issues with this terrain, but some of the games that terrain like this causes. So I think these events have an amazing amount of terrain, and I think it's good for the game. It's healthy to have this much terrain. I just think some of the pieces are too big. I think especially this bridge, this line of sight blocking piece in the middle, needs to be about 30% smaller. You should not be able to hide a whole 2,000 point army behind any single terrain piece. And we've seen that a lot. We saw that with the Custodes in round 2. We saw that with the Harlequins in round 1. I can certainly tell you from my experience in the Masters, my opponent was able to stage his entire army behind one single piece of terrain, and then I was only able to get like the absolute most piecemeal shooting into it, and that's only because I had Talon Masters. Other armies just simply
it looks like it's broken in the middle, so if it would be nicer they were just to separate the 2 pieces of terrain, just a touch, just maybe like a 4 to 6 inch gap in the middle. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it is what it is though. This is just how they're deciding to play this, and I think I think it's much better to have too much than not enough. Like it creates far more feel bads to play on bowling ball than it does to play on like a true packed cityscape, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's adding some different games while the chat and you and I may think it might be a bit of a detriment to the game. It's creating different games, giving different options. So the better the player, you're still going to be able to capitalize it better than the person who has less skill. So it's still going to make it better for the person who has more skill. So and that's what we want.
Yeah, so I think some guys in the chat. Eric Lathuris has joined us. Thank you, my man. Hope you're having a wonderful day up there, sunny Queensland, and we're able to high five my man Lee Abbey as well. Yesterday, you guys are out having a good old time. George has just pointed out, he probably didn't need to extend so far. I mean, it isn't a lot of points anymore. Like 2 units of 6 Reavers is only 60 points, and he probably of the thinking he wanted to lure some of the possessed out early so he start using his shooting assets. The issue is there, I'm not quite sure he needed to use so much. He probably could have done exactly the same by using 1 unit of Reavers and maybe an empty Raider just to sit on his bottom objective, make sure he couldn't put up a banner. That was my assumption. I was assuming that like he maybe moves and charge some things, knowing his opponent took banners to make sure he couldn't put banners up turn 1 and just start that swing, start that the secondary scoring to go his way. Looks like we've got some psychic powers coming up, and yeah, like I said, I expect that unit of possess that's going to be streaming up above the big line side piece of terrain to get every single possible defensive buff that is available to him. They will get to fight Delightful Agonies. An interesting thing that Celeste has also taken the other Delightful Agonies. Because they have the same name, but they're 2 completely different effects, one being a 5 up Feel No Pain, one being a 6. You can use both. So he will have 1 unit that's 6 up Feel No Pain and 1 unit that is 5 upped. It actually does matter a lot having 40 possessed that all have 2 saves. It really, really neuters a lot of what you think you're going to do against them. I myself was in them, like, because I was set to play this guy at some point if I was doing well in the Masters. I ran a lot of the math on how I would go killing fully buffed possessed. And yeah, it's pretty bad once they get the double saves.
Yeah, man, definitely. You don't want to get them you don't want to mess with them all buffed up, and that's what Liam wants.
So we've just seen
as you can see, he's creep.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, as we can just see, he's starting to get a bit of position here, creeping around the bridge. I would expect him to get a bit of an assault going on here to that venom that he's got there.
Yeah,
I'm expecting to see a bit of a swarm here from Liam. He's just going to take the entire board. Expecting the same thing there, Adam?
Yes, I am. I'm expecting that unit of possessed to get a big old chunky charge. He might even re-roll if he's got a medium level charge to try and go for a bigger one in order to really get some inroads there. As you can see, what he's also done, he's actually left a lot of possessed at home in order to keep his bubbles for Cursed Earth and bubbles for the advanced and charge, of course. But he's also got a lot that are touching terrain, meaning this guy's going to have 3 up armor saves for the return fire from the venoms that's probably going to come through. This is something we see Liam do all the time. He's very proficient in use of big units, big squads. When he was playing Orcs, he was notorious for playing 300 grots. And he'd have all these tendrils, all these different units doing different things, touching different pieces of terrain, and you'd have to interact with them in different ways because of it. And so he's leveraging a lot of that knowledge now, a lot of that skill set. And you just got to say he's been doing a really damn good job. Here comes that charge roll. Oh no, sorry, we're still doing powers. But yeah, it's pretty heinous what's about to happen. We might check back in this one in a couple of minutes because I expect everything from those possessed back to be dead by the end of this turn. Maybe 1 or 2 Reavers, depending if he allocates or rolls poorly on the amount of attacks he has, might be left at the end of this for Gabe to play some engage on fronts, etc., etc. But which game would you like to see next, guys? Please chuck out in the chat any game you'd like us to jump to. Apart from that, we might jump to all 4 and then get some ideas of some games that might have some big plays in order to jump into them. Really interesting set of games. We've got 2 that are going to look like they're going to be quite aggressive and over pretty early. And then we've got 1 that's just going to be really super cagey, that being the Tyranids versus the Eldari. But which one are you excited for? I'm super excited for the Possessed game, just because it's a top table game and it really feels like a top table stakes there. But the other 2 are not to be discounted.
Yeah,
the other 2 are not to be...
No, that's it. I'm excited for the Knights versus Custodes. That's a bit of a fun. If it's going to be a big mess, that's what I want to see. I just want to see a big death ball of shooting and punching on. So I'm excited to see that. That'll keep me entertained. But obviously the Tyranid game is something that people are definitely going to see because we're not going to see a lot of them. We have our Tyranid expert, Eric Lathoris, Art of War coach, captain of Australia, having a little bit of a look on. So let's have a look at that game and keep him entertained.
Yeah, so which one do you say? Do you want to see the Custodes?
Let's have a quick look at the Tyranids. I want to see the Custodes, but I'm sure everyone else wants to see the Tyranids.
Yeah,
so
we got Eric here.
We'll jump into the
Tyranids. We'll give the service to the great man who's joined us. With this Tyranid army, it's very well rounded, but I don't feel like it has a lot of anything, does it?
I feel like it's missing a lot of gaunts. That's what I feel like.
Yes, I thought it was
for the
pretty
people at home previously. If you look at objective, what is labelled number 3, the one on the right-hand side there as well on the top, that was all flooded with gaunts and they were everywhere. Now they have been removed. Unsure whether or not they headed to that block party. It could be a case. It's something that we have seen. It does see some kind of wraith constructs on the front of the balcony there. That's come out to have a bit of a play. The Star Weavers that we mentioned that we're probably going to be poking out just to get some engage points are still there. So Shane has not been able to deal with him like we thought he may have to get him down. So we've got a few secondaries points already starting to come up and primary points there. So let's have a quick rundown through them. Hey, Adam.
Yeah, so Mr. Condi's just probably started at the bottom of his turn 2. He scored 10 for primary. And of course, that was because he was messing with his opponents. He's holding 3 objectives pretty well. Whether he was holding the top one, I'm actually not too sure. I can't quite tell if those are... Looks like warriors, but also because he's got Harlequin troop on that as well. But I think it might just be a model count thing. Obsec versus Obsec. Tyranids must have more models on there than the Harleys were able to do. So he scored 10
I believe
primary.
the bottom two would be the ones that he's holding. So the bottom right and the on far right, that would be what he got his two
Oh,
chances,
is
10 points
this
from.
I thought this was a hold 2, hold 3.
Yeah, this is a hold 1.
Yeah.
I'll double check for you while you go through it.
No, you're absolutely right. I think you might be correct. So yeah, this is a hold 1, hold 2, but it wouldn't make much sense for Master Magentis. I suppose it would actually, in hindsight, seeing as number 3 was contested at the start of his turn 2. But I didn't see anything on objective 4, but maybe there was actually just nothing on there for the Eldari at the time. But they are kind of streaming forward. As you can see, a lot of the Gaunts have been targeted, have been picked up. I think that is a good call by the Eldari players. He needs to get down the number of bodies the Tyranids have to play with. Because as soon as he does, the number of body advantage actually, funnily enough, swings to the Harlequins. The number of wounds, of course, is heavily in the Tyranids' favour. But it does swing to the Harlequins, the Harlequins side for just the sheer number of obsec he has available. Now, a couple of smites are coming in onto the top right-hand objective. He did just move up to Malanthrope. And I'm assuming he's been supported by possibly the Broodlord as well. Into the bottom right-hand corner, we see 3 warriors with a unit of Tyranid Gaunts, and they're kind of zoning off, posturing up against that Starweaver. I'm interested to know why he didn't move up to try and take away objective 4 as well. But there could be more to be revealed there. Maybe he's shooting him down and trying to get a charge off. Behind them, the Barbed Hero Jewel hasn't really moved much from where it got deployed. I would like to see that guy really bumping up the table now that a couple of Harlequin troops have hit the board and a couple of those fusions have been removed. But maybe he's worried that there still is 4 Wraith construct that, any number of 2 or 3 of those dogpiling onto the Barbed Hero Jewel probably do the job. But mind you, he does have the 5+ invuln to fall back on. And maybe he's Catalyst and, just no bueno from there. The Exocrine was hiding behind that ruin on the right-hand side. I thought I could see it back there, but I wasn't quite sure if that was a bundle of other models hiding behind that overhang. But he's popped out to the top. He's going to be drawing line of sight on possibly either a Wraith construct we can see all the way down that boulevard in front of the block party, or up into the right at the top of the table where we have a Starweaver. And of course, he also has the Tyrannifex there as well. Interested to know why the Tyrannifex didn't move up. I would have liked to have seen the Tyrannifex trying to body block for these objectives, just try and impose that big base between himself and like 5 Harlequin troop getting around that, because that thing does and will take a hell of a lot of fusion pistols to remove. I'm actually a bit worried for his Malanthrope though. You see his Malanthrope and where it is? It's on the left of the Tyrannifex. He could easily sling out something like a Troop Master or 2 units of 5 Harlequin troop with fusion pistols, get them within range, gun that guy down, and then charge onto the warriors onto that objective and take that away, which I'm a little bit afraid is going to happen, but I'm not quite sure why he's there and why he's not behind the Tyrannifex. There's just kind of no need for him to be exposed. He's quite squishy to things like fusion pistols especially. But mate, what are you seeing on this table? Anything that I missed on the call?
No, mate, you got it bang on. The what you're saying there, the Michael's just sort of positioning himself just to make sure he's got all the objectives there, which is also going to get him his banners points and whatnot. And he's slowly just grinding down Shane's Tyranids. So it's not something that I was ready for. I thought I was expected to see Shane start to creep around and be a bit more aggressive. I thought even those bigger monsters would be able to come in and get some aggressive plays there on the table, taking some of the options away from Michael, making sure that Michael knows he can't just shoot certain things. At the moment, he can just pink off what he wants to. But Michael needs to make Shane make some bad choices. Oh, the other way around. Sorry, Shane needs to make Michael make some bad choices.
Well, it's a bit awkward for big bugs like this. Yeah, you have to actually make them be respected. People just disregard the amount of damage these big bugs do. Probably apart from things like Exocrines that can double shoot and will be hitting on 3s or 4s in this case. I just really like if I saw like Malanthrope and a single Barbed Hero Jewel on the table with a Tyrannifex, I'd be like, maybe I lose 1 unit a turn to the Hero Jewel, and then maybe I don't also, It could just spud his rolls to hit. But when you move those big bases up the table, when you start zoning, posturing up, using them to kind of try and bully and just be big imposing models, you do have to start respecting them. But right now, I don't think they'll be used in that way. Maybe Mr. Condi is being a bit more conservative. He wants to pop more of these Starweavers before he actually starts committing much. But we actually just saw...
There are a few...
Yeah, sorry?
No, you're right, mate.
Nah, you're good.
There are a few smites and stuff floating around as well, so he could just be a bit apprehensive on that as well. But he does have Shadow in the Warps as well, I guess. So,
Yeah, exactly right. We're going to transition over to the Custodes game. We just had a request in the chat, so we'll jump over to that one and see what the state of play is. Because I can tell you, there's some plays.
Here we go. This is what I want to see.
Some plays have been made by the Custodes player, and some responses have been done by the Knights player. Man, I don't know how the hell that Telemon got into combat, but I can tell you, it's probably from a deep strike, and. Just
I believe that would be the case.
Just baller rolled a 9, right? Unless you can make him a character and give him real charges, yeah?
Well, he's Dread host, so because of that, he'll have 3d6 on the charge out of deep strike. So that would have benefited him a little bit.
Damn straight. I thought he was Shadowkeepers for a moment because I think everyone has just been taping Shadowkeepers so much.
Because everyone does them. That is very true.
That Telemon is going to touch that guy badly. It looks like the Alaris have come in as well behind those dudes. I'm interested to know how they got behind. Maybe it was with the charge. We've probably seen
They would have also done the same thing. So they would have come down with the Dread host strat as well. I do believe you can do 2 units.
Yeah, because he's probably moved up that Helverin that was in the top right hand onto that objective to get shots. Then maybe he deep struck behind the terrain and charged through. Nice bit of play there by the Custos. Not looking great right now for the...
Oh, and we are seeing the removal of the Knight. That
Knight just got popped, guys. Telemons, man. Tell us about Telemons in combat, because they used to be a bit of a joke. You know, the biggest, baddest dreadnought in the world in the 41st millennium, and it had like 3 attacks. And yeah, it was actually pretty terrible.
Well, a couple of strats now that have benefited them as well. Pre-game, you can give them +1 attack. So I think you can get them up to like 5 attacks now, which is nice. Obviously, the neg-1 damage all the time being on them is good. And they're flat 4 damage in combat, so they're basically got Gilliam and Sword floating around. So they've got a lot of attacks. They've got a lot of high strength 16, I do believe. George is putting it out right now. Strength 16, AP 3, D4, 6 attacks. So yeah, they're strong, they're powerful. They're just going to rip through some things. They've got a plasma flamer on them as well, and that gun in combat. So they can shoot in combat, they can punch in combat. They are deadly as anything.
Cathal Mulverna, much love from Ireland. Man, whereabouts in Ireland are you? And thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, I hope, and this is well for saying the coverage is awesome. We're putting a lot of effort into this, make the best viewing experience humanly possible. We've seen a couple of scores come through. 15.
But in Adam, I'm sitting at home eating bacon and eggs in my bedroom.
You bastard. But as you can see, this is what I thought was going to happen. Remember I called this before. The primary was going to swing heavily towards the Knights early because they're going to be able to get such reliable and such potent lanes of fire onto that bottom left-hand corner objective. But in return, the Custodes have made a huge investment into the top right. Now that I'm assuming that Helverin's going to be pulled down by the Alaris and that big Knight is gone, I think that top right-hand objective is almost out of contention for the Knights. And with the thermal cannon dead, I don't know how he spikes enough damage to kill that Telemon, yeah? He actually probably needs to charge it if he wants to kill it. Otherwise, that Telemon is going to move up and he's probably going to get another Knight next turn. It's actually in a terrifying position. And of course, I don't know if you guys are aware, but you saw the Impossible Destroyer come into action there. The Shield Captain was not within 3 inches of the Telemon and was not within 3 inches of the Alaris. Now, of course, he wanted to move away from the Alaris, notably because they probably want to consolidate back into the building. So with that Impossible Destroyer, under normal circumstances, he would have had to pile in towards the Helverin. But instead, he got to pile in and be 1 inch away from the Telemon. It's actually a really big deal because otherwise that guy could just be popped and taken out of the game. So the little things like that for Custodes that ensure you're going to be able to get mileage and value out of these really expensive models is really potent and worth investing in. But yeah, this is going to swing pretty rough. So we just got 10 points for Titan Hunters already going to be racked up from here. He's going to be getting 2 points from engaging all fronts. And his Wily Stands, without the Thermal Knight, the Wily Stands are actually might be out of his reach. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure how he kills a Telemon anymore without the Thermal Knight. But the Battle Cannon Knight with +1 damage can get it done, but relying on D3s and a lot of hits and a lot of wounds that are winning on 4s. And then he's going to have, 4-up saves? Like, even if you got 12, let's say you got 12 from both, 24 shots, hitting on 3s, 18 hits, winning on 4s, 9 wounds, going into 4+, you do not kill that guy. You absolutely do not kill that dude. Telemons are now truly fearsome. I'm very happy to be able to say those words. Just into the chat. Eric, all 3 of these games top table. All 3 of these games are from the top 10. We did cherry pick some of the more interesting games from the top 10. Admittedly, we didn't think it was likely we would see Renegade Knights in the top 10 for much longer. We wanted to put them on stream to showcase them while we could. Same for the NIDS. There is 2 other games in the top 10 happening right now. One being Jerry Marigold versus Nick Wright. That is Sisters versus Deathwatch. It might be cool at some point. I'll send out my wonderful and lovely secretary Chelsea to get us a score report from those probably in half an hour to 45 minutes, just when they're about into the mid game. We also have, I believe the other one is Matt Morrisoli is also on the top. We'll actually might transition and jump back to the leaderboard and give you guys a look. Or we can jump back to our 4-table view. Nick, are you there, brother?
Yeah, man, I didn't realise my headset was up. I've been talking about these Custodes for ages, wondering why we weren't interacting.
Sputtered. Talk about the Custodes a bit.
No, you're right, man. Let's keep it going. Let's keep everything else happy and fresh.
Yeah, as you can see from the leaderboard on the left-hand side, hopefully it is a little too big. We do want to get the top 10 on here, so it's cutting off a little bit of the Tyranid game. I might get that rescaled in the downtime if I can figure out how Mr. Josh Diffie works his magic. But Matt Morosoli is playing Matthew Cross. Matthew Cross is playing a mix of Admech and Sisters. We called that game yesterday. He actually pulled out a really nice chunky win against Custodes Army running an Ares. But that one is... I think that heavily skews in the Soli's favor. Like I say, a lot of the Chaos armies have been teching into hunting Imperial armies, because I'm sure everyone's been seeing across the world, Imperium is making up about 50% of every tournament field. So 50 players out of the 100 here are probably running Imperium, or somewhere in the range of like the 45 to 55% mark. And so both Liam Hackett and Matt Morosoli are skewing heavily into anti-Imperial tech. Of course, Sisters, White Scars being two of the best armies in the game, the S-tier super single faction armies. And so skewing into those matchups makes all the sense in the damn world. And of course, they're having great success. So I think that because of Morosoli's tech into anti-Imperium, is that one's a little bit in Matt's favor. But Ashley Cross is no slouch. We saw him absolutely freaking clean up in... I said Ashley Cross? Apologies, Matt Cross. It's Ashley Cross. Ashley Cross is his brother. But yeah, we've seen him heavily tech into that, and I think that is pretty solidly in Soli's favour. What can you tell us about Nick Wright? He's one of the boys up from your area, isn't he, Mr. Stan? You know anything about this guy? He's pretty new on the scene.
Yeah, I think he's one of the normal blokes guys. I think that's correct. Yeah, I've never met him. I don't know anything about him, so
never heard of him.
I mean, set up again. Yeah, never heard of him. I'm very sorry to say.
No problems at all.
Yeah.
We called one of his games yesterday. He was playing against the Dark Angels Deathwing skewed list. He managed to get a big win there, playing domination, playing the objectives very, very, very well. How do you think that'll go versus someone of Jeremy's caliber? Jeremy, we know, is the 3-day specialist of this field, the only person in attendance here who has won a 3-day event. And not only that, he's won 3 of the damn things. But how do you think that one's going to play out? It is obvious a newer player who's having great success versus like a wily veteran. But just based on lists, Deathwatch versus Sisters, how do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, I'm going to have to skew this just in Jeremy's favour. I'm a big fan of the Deathwatch. They're basically Marines that do whatever the hell they want, so they can just pick whatever faction they want to be for that turn and just ride with it. So turn 3, they get all the turn 3 buffs on turn 1 if they want for the White Scars. So I'm loving them. I think the Deathwatch are absolutely bonkers. They're probably the cream of the crop for me for Marines if I was going to pick one.
Oh, for me, I think Deathwatch is the general's dream. That you get to do so much. You get to have all the options and all the tech and all the ability when you need them. It's just like everything's at your fingertips. I'll transition them back to the Gabe and Liam game because I just wanted to see the lay of the land at the end of or the start of Gabe's turn 2. As you can see, all the Reavers are gone. The Raider is gone. That Venom in the top right-hand corner is not gone. That is very surprising. But as you can see, there's some racks have hit the table. There's a unit of 10 rafts that have come out of the Raider. They're probably posturing up, standing on that objective to again deny another banner being raised. So good play there by Gabe. He may have used too many resources to get that play done, but the fact of the matter is it's still going to be there. It's still going to be denying that. As long as he falls back, I can't see any reason for him to want to stay in combat with the possessed, but surely he falls back a couple of inches, denies that primary, and denies that raising of banners by Liam. Because the unfortunate thing is now that he hasn't raised a banner on that for probably 2 turns now, he's actually going to have to use a unit of possessed, leave it at the back of the table, or he's going to like move a unit of move a second wave, his unit of cultists. So usually what happens is every single unit of possessed is tag teamed with a unit of cultists. The cultists do the actions and the possessed insulate them if he plays a defensive skewed deployment or a game where he needs to hold back. And so they can do the actions whilst being insulated by 40 wounds of possessed choppy goodness. What's really surprising to me is that Venom survives. Maybe he rolled like a 1 on the amount of attacks he did, and he used a lot of those possessed to kill the Reavers instead of putting attacks into the Venom, and maybe he overestimated his damage, or like I say, just rolled really badly. And admittedly, he would have gone to the 2 damage on the other unit of possessed that was going into the Reavers, right? Yeah,
well, I don't think Liam knows how to roll badly, so that would be a lot of courage for him. He is quite known for his hot hands that he's got going on. We are seeing those units falling back on that bottom, on the bottom there, like you mentioned. So I think, he's positioned there to try and get some pot shots off with those Venoms. But we'll just have a quick rundown through on the points here. So looking at Gabe's turn, he has 10 for the primary. Yep. He's got 2 for engage, and that's all he's got. So he's sitting on 10. 22, sorry, because of the battle ready. And then Liam actually has 0 for primary. Whether or not he has put them in, I don't know. But it's odd that he's on 0 for primary.
Hasn't had his turn 2 yet, brother. He only had his turn 1 then.
True. Yeah.
So it hasn't.
So that's why he's only on 3 for grinding him down.
Yeah, exactly right. I want to work out what Gabe's while we stands are. Is it the Reapers? I'm just going to have a quick look over his list. Feel free to keep talking. So the Reavers are only 60 points now, so it's definitely not them. The Reavers come in at, where are they? They come in at 170 points each. I think it's pretty clear to me that they would be with the points reductions in racks, which I've got to say is actually absolutely absurd for the time being. I'm assuming in the codex those are going to be switched back to what they should be. But the Reapers being 170 points makes them the while we stands. So those are the obvious things that Liam wants to kill anyway. If he can get the Reapers off the table, the best thing and the best tool available to his opponent to kill things like Possessed will be off the table. And I think this one will be a little bit hard to come back from. But we'll see what these... Because he's going to have a hellacious amount of firepower coming in this turn. I'm expecting to see the Reapers jump down at the bottom right-hand corner and start posturing up down there. But the issue is there that I think they're dispersed shot. Someone in the chat might be able to tell me. The dispersed shot from the Reapers, I've been told it's 24 inches. That's actually the danger zone, the absolute danger zone to be in to kind of for Possessed. Because they move 7 inches, they're going to get an advance, so possibly on average maybe around a 10. Then they're going to get warp time another 7 inches, and then they're probably going to have a 7 or a 6 inch charge. So if you are 24 inches away, you are well within reach from one of these Possessed bombs. So it's actually pretty terrifying. But someone in the chat, please confirm that 24-inch range. We thought they were. We were talking about it last night, but yeah, not too sure.
Yeah, if that is the case, then Liam is pretty much poised to just get anywhere he wants to on the table and just attack anything. So in Gabe's army.
Eric just pointed out something. Yeah, he's absolutely right. So the top Venom, the one that did not get killed by the Possessed, maybe, yeah, Liam was savvy and figured out that if he did kill that Possessed and the unit got out, it was going to be a 15-point primary to Gabe because he held the bottom left after the offset got out of the radar. So that would have been, 4 objectives to 2, and he would have gotten a 15. So maybe he was just like, yeah, look, I don't need to kill this right now. All I needed to really do was get the sling off from the charge, and yeah, it was actually going to be pretty good. So yeah, savvy play if that's what he was thinking. I'm not saying the Reapers move as of yet. I really do expect to see them to drop down into the right-hand corner. Otherwise, they're not going to get any fields of fire. Unless he's happy with them shooting into the fully buffed unit, which I would have thought would be the mistake. Because moving it down to the bottom right, he gets a bit of field of fire into the unbuffed unit of Possessed, while also gaining distance away from the closer one. But maybe his opinion doesn't really need to do that as of yet, and he's got a good distance as he is, because I don't think he does. I think, unfortunately, if he doesn't move defensively now, he's going to get swamped next turn by 40 Possessed, with another 20 in the waiting in the wings. But yeah, is this playing out pretty much how you thought? I am really impressed with Gabe's willingness to play the primary early, and his willingness to throw away so many resources just to deny the banners, which I actually think is quite a good play, now that I think about it.
Yeah, it definitely is. He looked. Originally, we both agreed that maybe he'd gone a bit too aggressive. It looked like all the boats were way up too high up forward, but it's actually working in his favour there. Like you mentioned, it stopped some of the banners going off. I think he does need to get in early and get as many primaries as he can, get as high as he can, because Liam will definitely come home strong on the late game.
Absolutely right. Going second, he's going to get a big primary win later in the game. Jumping back to our Tyranids matchup, looks like we're probably going into either the bottom of turn 2 for the Nids. As you can see, they've still got a Skyweaver right at the top of the table, being cut off slightly, but that lovely yellow is making it quite easy for us to see. What is the unit that is on objective 3, mate? Is that a unit of Tyranids? Or is that a unit of Harlequins?
Yeah, it looks like a unit of Tyranids to me. The basing option usually is what gives them away. They have a black base, and nothing else from either side has a blackish base. So that's not helping very much.
Yeah, it looks like a unit of Tyranids, but I'm not sure what it would be. Because it would be a bigger... Never mind.
So it's not the Warriors.
No, we're still in the shooting phase for the Harlequins. We're seeing them dacker down and kill a bunch of those Termagants at the bottom. As you can see, once again, he is targeting out the body count OBSEC, which I think is absolutely the right call for the Harlequins. Get rid of their ability to double move, and then you will be the only thing on the table that can sling across the board and deny primary. Because as it is right now, the Tyranids would retain that ability otherwise. He can sling things like double move things like Warriors, but that becomes really bad. You roll the ones, you lose a whole warrior to the double move, and they're only 3 models apiece. So a unit of 5 troops still holds that objective over you.
Like you're right. So let's get a quick points recap there. So looking through the points here, Michael Genesee Eldari, he's on 15 for primary, 5 for raise the banners, and 4 for engage, again a total of 34 points. And he's just sneaking ahead there of Shane, who's on 10 for primary, 2 for engage, and 6 for grind them down. On 28.
5 for raise the banners. I'm not quite sure that's correct, because that could only be correct if they were in turn 3. Oh, so this could be the top of turn 3 because we've had one turn of scoring by Shane and we've had one turn of scoring by Michael. So maybe we've had 2 turns of scoring by Michael where you got a 5 and then 10. That would make a lot of sense. But 2 turns of play by the Tyranids, I'm not sure if I've seen that. I would have thought this would be the bottom of 2 myself. But as you can see, a unit of warriors at the top that was in front of that Skyweaver, they actually have been targeted quite heavily, probably by the fusion pistols inside and then by the boat itself. He's also targeting the Tyranid warriors that are behind the Tyrannifex. There's only one left in both of those units. I actually do believe that is a Broodlord. Now that I'm looking at that closely, that unit on Objective 1, I believe that is a Broodlord model. What do you think, brother? It certainly looks like it to me.
I think you're right there.
Eric.
I definitely think you're right.
Eric, what do your elf eyes see? War Magic is just tuned in on the Reaper. On the Reaper, it's 24 on the blast profile, but 36 on the beam profile. The beam is heavy, D6, strength 8 minus 4, D3 plus 3 blast. Profile is heavy, 2D6, strength 6 minus 1. And yes, of course, with the Dark Technomancers can go to 2 damage. It's pretty good. Oh, sorry, they only take 1 mortal wound for the Sanguinius triple quad 9 Sanguinarius. You have to roll triple 1 to lose warrior. Apologies, man. Easy done. So that the Tyranid unit.
It looks like we just seen the Lictor. It looks like we've just seen the Lictor get taken down.
Where was that?
On the far left hand side of the table. I think the Lictor maybe just came in and had a little sneaky pop out, and then one of the Wraiths have actually taken him down.
There you go. So we have had 2 turns from the Tyranids as well, because naturally Lictor couldn't come down otherwise. So yeah, we are into the top.
I do believe that Michael went first.
Yes, Michael did go first. This is the top of turn 3. And man, actually the Tyranids all of a sudden look pretty light on the ground for their board control.
They definitely do.
Yeah, one unit Tyranid warriors, only 1 wound left. 1 unit of Gaunts and a unit Tyranid warriors below on objective 5. I feel like these big bugs really need to get on their bike. They really need to get moving. Otherwise, he's actually just going to get bled out. Michael Magenta is once again playing a very tidy game. And I just feel like the Tyranids didn't really push up with the tough stuff. They pushed up with the weak stuff and just kind of left them all exposed without support. I mean, obviously, you don't want to have your big stuff getting charged by things like multiple units of Harlequins with Caresses, which is what Michael Magenta is leveraging here, and also a bunch of fusion pistols. But in all honesty, he has so many big bugs, it's probably better for that to happen than losing all his OBSEC, which is what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's it. He wants to be using those big bugs up as threats, and if he's losing them, that's not a big deal, because at the time he can be sitting there racking up the primary and taking banners off things that Michael has been putting them on with the little Gribblies and stuff like that, because he can definitely outscore him based on just having more OBSEC on objectives than what Michael can do. So yeah, it's a bit of a backwards play. Would have been good to see the big bugs go in, be a bit more aggressive, and have the little Gribblies come in behind them and tidy them up, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, we've actually had the Honest Wargamer join us. I'm just going to transition this back over to our full table view. But Honest Wargamer, is that Rob? Please say it's so. I love you, Rob. Thank you so much for joining our stream. And for Eric, there was on Objective 1, that unit, the Tyranid unit just to the left of Objective 1. It looks to me like that is a Broodlord, and it looks to me like he's pretty exposed. So yeah,
Adam, let's go to the Custodes game.
Okay, yes, because there has been a bit of a defensive move by the Custodes player, kind of in response. Dude, well, it's actually impressive that on these tables with really good terrain, how aggressive you can be with Custodes. With everything having OBSEC and leveraging some quite fast units, things like Venatari, things like the Deep Strike and the 3d6 charges, you can really get up and get going quickly against your opponent. The boys are having a couple of bevies on the table as well. Good for them. It's quite hot here today. It's going to be 41 degrees outside. You wouldn't know it in this room. I could literally put a jumper on. We're so well cared for here with the aircon. But I assume this is into the top of turn 3, or is it the bottom of turn 3, because the Knights went first. Bottom of turn 3 for the Custodes. Telemon has pushed up onto the right-hand side. Alaris have moved through that L-shaped ruin in the top right-hand corner and threatening a charge into another one of the Helvrin War Dogs. That Telemon's also going to be threatening another charge into the double Battle Cannon Knight. I don't think he's going to make it this turn, but the point is he's keeping his opponent completely contained. Every single Knight's model is in the bottom right-hand corner right now. Pretty funny and pretty awful to see Knights be able to get bullied so horrifically, but if there's one army that should be able to do it, it should be the Golden Boys, right?
Yes, 100%. I'm all here for this. This is what I love to see. The Custodes bullying around some big bully Knights. I'm very, very surprised that Chris was able to get 25 in the primary. He's done well there to get as high as he has. Again, like we picked engaged on all fronts on 0, so that is not a surprise at all.
It's the more and more I'm seeing this game, I'm of the opinion he's probably going to be getting 0 on While We Stand, maybe 5. And his opponent's probably going to be getting 10 on his While We Stand, so that's it's a 5-point swing. That Telemon looks like it is significantly wounded. 2 dice on the back there is either, hopefully he's counting down, Always count down, guys, in Adam's opinion, especially for my viewing pleasure. Count down, it doesn't break my brain nearly as much. The Venatari jumping up, looks like they've lost one of their number, and some wounds have been done onto the shield captain. But yeah, it's not enough to really change the dynamics here. It also looks like there's a wound dice on the back of those Alaris, but it is just sitting on a 4, and they do have 4 wounds each, so I'm not quite sure what that is signifying, if anything. Anything really interesting?
I'm not sure that those knights are alive. I'm not sure that those knights are alive on the bottom right-hand side. They could be a dead pile.
I did say when last time we had our 4. The game would be over if they would just be counting up the points and moving on. But yeah, it is a thing, isn't it? Like legitimately, he had to fall back entirely from his line. He was right up on those the middle right-hand objectives, right in his deployment zone. He was right up on those objectives, and in 2 turns, he's been pushed back right into his bottom right-hand corner, not sitting on a single primary objective. That is how crazy this is. Me and myself, I probably would have realized that if that Telemon stayed alive, there was no way for me to contest this game, and I would have shot both knights and charged both knights into that Telemon. Maybe one of them also charging into the Alaris. Killing 2 Alaris from that squad means that on the return fire, there's no way that they can pull down a whole knight. In addition to that, not being able to shoot lest they fall back means that the other Telemon and the Venatari wouldn't have good options. And of course, you fall back the Alaris, that's your next best melee unit in that range. But that's only if you killed the Telemon, because if you swing and miss for a Telemon, he's going to absolutely clobber you.
Yeah, he's definitely going to pull some carapace off those knights without even trying. He's got some damage capabilities going in there.
Eric, why would you want to throw a jumper on? It sounds like a default suns out, guns out. Because, man, I've got a really good aircon in this room, and I'm pretty much enclosed in my own little bunker with all my leads and stuff going out to the stream. It's actually a sick setup. I've got a 100-inch LCD TV I'm using as my stream thing. I'm actually going to send you guys a picture of the stream setup because it's actually the best one I've ever had. It's freaking awesome. Eric Lathurius, these guys look like they need some sweet objective markers. They absolutely do, man. If my objective markers weren't out on loan to Mr. Morrisoli because he's a slacker, I would have them on this table for people to use. Eric, George says he's trying to convince people that Venatari are trashed here now, that Death Guard exists. Am I wrong? I'm not sure they're trashed here. It's just one faction. They do lose a bit of their shine. We're going to have to see how high up the totem pole Death Guard end.
They're still good. They're definitely
still good, man. They're still good. Are Marines still? Do Marines still exist?
The Custodes army.
You just like, do Marines still exist? Yes, Venatari are fine. As long as Marines, any Marine list is top tier.
It's not just a damage option that they bring for Custodes. It's the movement, the deep strike. There's other things that you can do with the Venatari that you can't do with other Custode units. That's what makes them so good.
We're going to transition back to the Liam and Gabe game. Not that I know that a hell of a lot has happened there, but I think we're going into a bit of the shooting phase. We did see one Reaper, like I thought, jump down to the bottom. The other one has jumped up into the right-hand corner, with one staying pretty central. Naturally, he does want to keep a presence on that middle objective. That Venom has fallen back, has disgorged its OBSEC. It's walling off from the Possessed, getting back into that and getting inroads into the top right-hand corner. I'm pretty sure Liam doesn't mind or doesn't care about the top right-hand corner. He wants to go down. There's like a fifth or sixth of Gabe's army in the top right. The overwhelming majority of it is in the bottom right. One interesting and good play by Gabe. You see a Venom has jumped over the Possessed into his lines, and I'm assuming that could be the one that's wounded. It does have a dice on it, so that's probably the one that was in combat with the Possessed, has jumped over and is threatening his primary should he move off it. It might still be toting OBSEC in addition. So that one could very well come back and start messing.
That will also be there to help get him 3 points on engage.
Exactly right. I was about to say that, brother. Spot on. But yeah, there's still going to be there to cause shenanigans with Liam's primary. But it's not going to yield as many results as he would have if he had gone second. With Liam having the second turn, he actually is probably going to get, with this board and being a hold 1, hold 2, hold more, he's very likely to get a 15 here on the bottom of the turn. Admittedly, if he has like any density of models left. He has had some damage being done to the unit that's on the bottom unit of Possessed. I'm just going to do a quick count here while if you're willing to pick up the call, mate. I'm just going to do a quick count of Possessed to see how many are dead.
Yeah, no worries at all. And as you've touched on there, Gabe's obviously playing the early game as best that he can because he knows that once Liam gets into his lines and gets some aggressive plays onto him, that he's able to just touch up, tag, and destroy majority of his army without much effort. So good play there by Gabe to get in early. He's maximising as much primary as he can, and he's also getting as much engage points as he can. I believe that Scramblers will be a definite easy pick for him, so he's going to max him out on 10 for that. Good to see what Liam does here because he's actually touching majority of the primary. I think Liam will easily be able to just stop Gabe from climbing ahead on primary, which is something that Gabe needs to be able to do.
Yeah, agreed. So some of us just tried to engage with our Streamlabs Streamlabs. Unfortunately, that is a setup for the Art of War. If you're looking for any of the other links to the BCP coverage, check out the bio description. You can find all the links to absolutely everything and everything to do with this one there. And we have a link to the Best Coast Pairings live event where you can find the lists. So that was Mr. FDU, yeah, go jump over to BCP to find the list, mate. We actually, due to being covering 3 games everything, and this being an 8-round event, we are really unable to chuck up lists and set up the stream bots. It would literally take me every break I have, all break, and into the game to set that up every single time. Just had a report back. We just had a report back from the lovely Chelsea, who's gone and done a report on the other 2 top table games. Mr. Matt Morosoli doing well so far, but stuck in the corner because of an open board. So apparently he's got probably one of the few open tables so far. So it's quite similar to the one we're seeing here. Chelsea's informing me. And so Matt's being a bit contained, but he's doing pretty well so far. Naturally, he'll probably have a big swing when he comes down with the Terminators and see what they auto charge and their shenanigans with the double shoot can do. Nick says, who is Jeremy Marigold's opponent, says that Jeremy is stumping him, but Chelsea's of the opinion he is just being modest. So we'll get her to do another run out for us when she is available in probably now another half an hour, 45 minutes. The lovely Chelsea giving us her time. She is the beautiful and gorgeous partner of Matt Morosoli, and she comes to a lot of events just because she loves being part of the community, which I respect quite a lot. I was counting up those possessed, and it looks like he'd lost 6 of them to the fire so far coming through. So six dead. Not the end of the world, and he only needs about 4 of these possessed, rolling right with the right buffs to kill literally anything in this Dark Eldar army. I do like that Gabe is walling off those possessed though. That wall is really quite nice because they could have gone all the way deep and killed all 3 of those Venoms if that wall wasn't there. As it is with the warp time, he still might be able to do it, but whether or not that is enough and he wants to do that or he wants to secure his primary is pretty much left to be determined. I haven't seen anything really be picked up. I think I saw 2 possessed being picked up from the top squad of possessed from Liam. I do really like the walls Gabe is making at the moment. I think he's doing a great job there, both being defensive and getting good lanes of fire.
Eric's asking about the amount of possessed on the table. He has deployed all 3 units. So one is that tendril we're obviously seeing spread out that he's making good use of. One is on the middle bottom sort of there, and the other is behind that terrain on the left-hand side of the table right where his phone is.
So we pretty much can't see one whole unit of possessed. They haven't been committed, they haven't been used. And I really hope Gabe hasn't forgot that there's going to be essentially like a full commitment, a full commitment by Liam next turn. All this stuff in the bottom right-hand corner is in a lot of danger. It's going to be interesting to see where he invests his warp time. We are seeing some possessed being picked up by the middle left unit. I saw 2 or 3 get picked up then, and I think we're going to be getting some Reaper fire coming in pretty short order. But yeah, these Venoms, like triple Venom Reaper, really looks pretty saucy right now. It's actually a decent amount of firepower with the Dark Technomancers. Unfortunately, the FAQ Technomancers changed. I think we were talking about it before. Did it get FAQ that now they can take multiple wounds on the ones to wound? I think it got changed because before they would only take 1, I think, per gun possible, and now they can take for every 1 they roll, they can take a wound. In the chat, Adam, notice he moved the Special Ravager to the bottom right-hand terrain piece. Very nice position. Yeah, like I said, I thought he would get one into the bottom right. I can't see him not investing super into the unbuff unit of Possessed, which is the one to the left of the centerpiece. The one at the top has like 3 notes on it, meaning it's probably got everything you can literally put on it. But I'm assuming the other one to the left of the terrain piece just has probably the 6+ Delightful Agonies on it, just to make it a little bit unpalatable. But mate, which game should we go to now? So we switch to all 4 and see how they're progressing, which one we want to jump into, or should we go straight to
me? Let's have a bit of a transition at all forward.
Yeah,
we'll stay there for chat and have a chat.
Yeah, to chuck up whichever one you want us to look at. Which one? It's actually we're going to probably see a bit of a quick round here. I know Liam's a very quick player. Gabe looks like he's quick on the money as well. He's doing a lot of nuanced positioning pieces very quickly, which I'm quite a fan of. And of course, the Custodes versus the Knights. Someone's having a bad day. Someone's having a bad day very quickly. And right now it does look like the Knights. It looks like that Helverin has been picked up. Looks like the Telemon and made his big old charge as well. But into the bottom left, we're seeing a Barbed Hero Drill making some inroads up the table, and a couple of Knights have jumped onto the bottom left hand. Sorry, a couple of Warriors have jumped onto the bottom left hand objective there. That objective 4. Interesting, like his big bugs are getting a bit more relevant. The terrain effects have pushed up as well. It doesn't look like the Mammoth Throw did get killed, which I was afraid it would. So he just looks like he's got big bugs left and a couple of warriors down there. But I'm honestly not seeing a hell of a lot of Harlequins either. But the issue is the Harlequins, they can do a lot of damage on the scoreboard with very, very few models, which is quite scary.
It's very likely that they actually haven't come out to play yet, a lot of those Harlequins. Because
exactly
I know he had a lot of the Star Weavers skirting around the edges of the table there. So there's a good chance that he has the majority of his force less actually still just hiding around.
Yeah, agreed. Just looking into the Custodes game, it's pretty nice where with a lot of these things have really big models that we can still continue the call on. Or like Liam's just got really big units so we can kind of tell what's going on with the force screen. But the Telemon looks like he's taking damage. Looks like we're probably in the shooting phase for the Knights. I saw... it looks like he's down to 1d6 worth of wounds left. I looked at even from here, I might be able to see that that's a 3. I could be completely wrong there. But yeah, it might be that Telemon going down this turn. If it does, that's a 5 points on the While We Stand swing. This is his best big, imposing, threatening piece for those Knights. Because I don't believe... Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe those Alaris will be able to reach any of those Knights this turn. Like, that means the Knights have completely ceded the primary, but they've bought themselves a turn of actually having models on the table, which is probably a nice trade.
Yeah, they've continued their gameplay a bit longer. Whether or not that has helped them with the points is another story. But yeah, I think if he can get rid of that Telemon like you mentioned, then that's the danger zone sort of eviscerated there, and he can get rid of the danger zone. The Alaris will be unable to touch them. The only real danger will be that Telemon and the Sagittarium, because they can... With the strength 5, the 2 damage on their guns, they can still do a fair bit of work there on that bottom left-hand side there. So they'll be able to plink off a few wounds, I'd say.
Well, so just been pointed out by... Sorry, go. You go.
Go.
No.
The Shield Captain jet bike. Where is that Shield Captain that we've seen floating around? So he's probably in the top right-hand near that blue building, I think, in the middle of that Alaris. Is that correct?
Yeah, possible. I did see him.
He may be able to tag out one of the Knights.
Yeah, he was directly behind the Telemon when last I saw. But
he's in the middle of the Alaris on the right next to that blue L piece.
Yeah, let's just transition over to that table and get a better call. Admittedly, we can call some of the bigger players some of the easier players in the movement phase, but getting some of the nuanced stuff, we do really need to get the insights and jump down into what is going on there. That Telemon has just is on 1 wound left from the looks of things. A single solitary baller Telemon wound. A golden wound, so to speak. Yeah, it does look like that Shield Captain is there, but he does have... Did he have 6 Alaris in that unit, or did he have 5?
I think he had 6 there, but the Shield Captain is in the middle of the 3 Alaris.
No, he's not. He's actually just above the Telemon. He's actually on the other side of that.
He is too. Sorry.
Yeah, he's just on the other side there. He's just checking out the roll for the... I think this... Did the Telemon...
Are we seeing a charge there from the...
He's charging. That Telemon was...
Charge there from the Knight. He's going for it.
Yeah, he failed his first round. Going for a second one. 11. He's made it. So, yeah, with that one wound Telemon, how can you not charge in? Literally, how can you not? If he's a little savvy on it, he might still keep his distance, or he might try and get a pylon and consolidate to get back on that objective. That is only if the Alaris are not within 3 inches, and it looks like it's pretty touch and go whether they are. If not, I would 100%...
he has left a small gap there. He hasn't based himself there.
But if he was, he would have pivoted. He's got 11-inch charge. He surely would have pivoted over more to the left. So I'm guessing he's just trying to keep his distance. Now, what do you think is the over-under for a Shield Captain and 6 Alaris to kill a Knight? Admittedly, these aren't super good Knight killers, having half with spears, half with axes. I'm supposing that's
it depends what he's going, because they've got a strat that anything that they can get +1 to wound against anything with a higher toughness, which they'll be able to use. They'll be able to go +1 AP. So in combat, obviously, what's he going to have, like a 5? They're going to be neg3 with their strats as well, whether or not he has the points to get all these buffs going. But you can get a few attack buffs going on. So I think the Alaris are obviously better at killing than the Captain are. I don't think it will kill a Knight on full wounds, but I think they could maybe bracket him, maybe get him down a few.
And for sure, they'd have to, right? I mean, the Venatari is going to be able to come over and pinch it into that as well. And if you look at the positioning of the other Telemon, that one will be able to go straight down from a position there, and we'll be able to draw a line of sight onto that Knight also. Of course, the Knight cannot be obscured, so that Telemon can pretty much shoot him wherever he is. But the best lanes of fire, of course, will be continuing to move down. But please, for the love of God, stay out of craters, guys. Do you know what I hate? You know what I hate? Craters. I hate craters so much. They're good for the game, though. We need something. You do need to have them in the game.
Yeah. Some detriments to charging and whatnot somewhere.
War Magic just said, "Does the Emperor protect?" ? Tune in to find out. Like it.
He obviously does, because we're seeing some measurements here, which I believe are from Shane. looking at measurements from his custode. So it's a good chance that the Knights player has finished his turn, and we're going to the start of Shane's turn.
Check out what do you think is the over/under on the stomps? Like hitting on 3s, so 8 hits on the 12 stomps, winning on 4s, so 4 wounds, and he's going to have a 4+ save. Like you can roll just bad on the wounds, and he can just boss him. And not take any. So it's really unfortunate that happened because that knight is now 100% dead. I didn't notice the Telemon swing back though.
No, I didn't notice that either. I didn't notice that at all.
But he'd be
interested to see what he does here, whether or not he removes that Telemon out, does some shooting with that, and allows the Venatari shooting to come in as well, or whether he prefers the combat from the Telemon.
I'd probably prefer the combat, to be honest. Interesting thing that's probably what's going to happen here. It's going to be a very unfortunate thing that happens to this bottom right-hand Helvrin. He's right hard up against the table, guys. He's right hard up in the corner of the table. He's about to get tapped and locked into that corner by the shield captain. Will not be able to fall back. Always leave your stuff 1.1 inches away from the corner of a table. always. Especially your vehicles. Because
we've seen him advance with those Venatari there. So those Venatari have just gone up to tag the objective, so they won't be participating in the combat there or doing any shooting.
Oh, the bucklers not assault. So the kinetic destroyers.
No, they are pistols. That's why they can shoot.
Oh, that's right. Of course, they are pistols. You're totally correct, my man. Points update.
We are seeing the Sagittarium sort of creep up there, so they're also trying to get some shots. So Shane is going for it. He is going for those max 15 on Titan Hunter.
0 chill. 0% chill factor from this man. The Laris unit get 24 attacks, wind on 4s, damage 3, D3. That's if he spends all the CP, right? And maybe he doesn't want to spend 2 CP. Maybe he's just happy bracketing it this turn, saving a CP for next turn. Maybe that's how the Telemon's alive. He saved all the CP for the saves. And maybe he's been botting himself out there. Because that would be a really good... keeping a Telemon alive is never going to be a bad thing.
Well, Eric Tad mentioned in the chat, 1 wound went to the Dread, and he CP re-rolled it and saved it to pass and did 1 wound back to the Knight.
So 1 wound back as he did 4 damage to the Knight?
I would imagine so, because that is the bare minimum.
So Eric Trad, are you at the event? Are you here giving updates from the table? Because that'd be sick.
Otherwise, what kind of TV do you have? What kind of monitor do you have at home? How are you watching this?
That's awesome.
Me and Adam need to get some of them.
Sanguinarius quad 9, Y barbed hero jewel and Tyrannifex over 2 more exocrines. Maybe he just loves the models, brother. Maybe he's a bit of a specialist with them. Maybe they've done really well for him in the past. I think we're seeing the last days of this Knight army. I expect that double battle cannon Knight to be mostly dead or fully dead by the time we come back to this. And yeah, that shield captain is about to lock that Helvrin to the back of the board. He will get intervened from the
100%.
from the big Knight. Whether or not the big Knight kills him through the 3+ invuln will remain to be seen. I'm of the opinion he probably doesn't. So yeah, we're going to transition back over to the Tyranid game and just see how things have progressed on that end.
Well, just as you do that in the chat there, George has pointed out, hey, given all the damage reductions out there, imagine if Imperial and Chaos Knights get damage reduction. I could see that definitely be a thing. It seems to be one of GW's biggest plays at the moment is giving things damage reductions.
I believe that they should.
I could see them definitely getting that.
Knights do need obsec and some kind of durability increase. They're just not that durable for the amount of damage they do anymore. They don't have enough attacks versus all these armies that are toting 1+ and 2+ saves and good invulns across the table. And from shooting, they're not that scary. Like Avenger Gatling Cannons probably need to go up by like 2 or 4 shots, like maybe 16-shot Avengers. Maybe that's too much.
Yep.
But we'll see. And I would love to see flat 2 damage on the rapid fire battle cannons. Like get rid of the D3s. Never heard of him. Never want to see him again. Ditch him. Terrible thing. No one wants D3s. And give guard battle cannons 2 flat damage as well. Strength 8 -2, 2 damage. Mwah, should be the new hotness. What are you seeing here, mate?
All right, we're coming into this game here. Let's have a quick run over of the scores here. So we're seeing a very tight game. Shane is currently sitting on 44 with Michael on 43. Primary is dead even, and secondaries are also very tight. So while we've both pointed out that Shane is losing a lot of his units here, he's actually been able to go toe-to-toe with Michael and keep the scores flowing. So like you pointed out earlier, majority of the Gribblies are now gone. We're looking at the bigger bugs here, sitting on most of the objectives and pushing forward, trying to give it to Michael.
Yeah, absolutely right. I do quite like that he's managed to keep this close. I'm really impressed with the primary score as well. 20-20. I would have thought Michael Magensis would have the ability to really mess with that primary score by his opponent, but maybe he's just been a little bit curtailed, a little bit contained, or he's being apprehensive for the first couple of turns. Doesn't want to, of course, like I said, you really don't want to bleed out, and that is the unfortunate reality of like a 6-game objective for things that are quite squishy. I'm not seeing any. I'm only seeing one Skyweaver left, and I'm also seeing what I think is the removal of one of the race seers. There was one that was below the block party piece of terrain in the top left-hand corner. There's also one sitting behind that middle left-hand terrain piece as well. I suppose that might be what's keeping some of the big Grillbies in the bottom right-hand corner honest. Like if the Barbed Hero Duel moved up, he admittedly has got a 5 next to his base. Whether that's wounds taken or wounds remaining, we'll wait to see. But yeah, maybe that's keeping him a bit honest. He doesn't want to move up quite so fast. Interested to know that there is a unit of Termagants still alive on the home objective for the Eldar, objective 2, just below that unit of Harlequin troop that looks like they're engaged with. There is what looks to be 2, possibly 3 or 4 gaunts that are strung down below the overhang on that also. So that is, so despite Michael Magentis playing a very solid game, his opponent is messing with his primary just as much as he's messing with the opposite. We're seeing a unit of Tyranids Warriors in the bottom left-hand corner on objective 4. There was 3 there at the start of this call when we jumped in, and now there's only 1 left. Also really interesting, yeah? There is a freaking some kind of psyker for the Eldar in the Tyranid deployment zone somehow. Have you seen that?
Is that on the bottom right-hand side there near the red building? There's something sneaking around there.
No. He's on top of the building. On top of the big building in the Tyranid deployment zone, centrally. There's just he only has...
yes.
His
bike there.
Only has 2 models on the bike. He has a Farseer and he has a Warlock on the bike. Surely that's the Warlock, right? Because he has other units that have Warlock has Warlock powers. So maybe he sacrifices him to go and get him some engage points this turn, which would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to have to keep going ahead on engage. He is slightly ahead on engage right now, but he's going to have to keep going because Shane does have those deploy scramblers. Yeah. Obviously, that's what he was trying to do with that Lictor, which came on, but it would have definitely got the deployment zone of his opponent, and he's got his, no doubt. So, and he has had a lot of things sitting around the mid-table. Those warriors that are sitting on objective 4, there's no reason why that could not have got deploy scramblers for No Man's Land. Exactly, so I think that Shane has that one in the bag.
And which would make a lot of sense to me because that bike model there on objective 4 hasn't moved much in the last turn. So if he did move move up that unit of Tyranids Warriors to get objective 4 and scramble the mid-zone, it would make a lot of sense as to why that Eldar model did not get charged. But yeah, this might be the game of the round of this stream, guys, because this is much closer than I thought it would be. I thought we'd see a very good primary score for the Eldari and a very good secondary score for the Tyranids, but we're seeing good scores from both. These guys are just playing really tight. This Tyranid army I thought might be overmatched by the Harlequin shenanigans, but the fact they're able to go toe-to-toe while they're spending or in my opinion, possibly wasting some points on things like Maliceptus, kudos to Shane Condy. You're a legend. Like, I want that Maliceptor to do some amazing stuff just because it's a big brain bug and it's never been good in the game. And it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, yeah, it's a tight one. It's definitely a tight one. I think maybe Shane is just pipping ahead, like I mentioned earlier, on deploy scramblers. But Michael's playing a great game here. It's probably the tightest game of the round, I'll give you that. But for me, the Custodes Bloodbath is the game of the round for me. I'm loving watching the giant punch on and mess.
Bias.
That game.
Total bias. We're going to jump back to Gabe and Liam, guys, see where they have ended up. I would love to see what their scores have become as well. Really, really, really keen. Because I believe we are into the charge phase or the combat phase for the Possessed. A full commitment from Possessed. We've seen the last unit of 20 have come out. And as you can see, a unit above the healthy 20-man has been depleted greatly. It looks like there's only about 8, maybe 9, 10 of them left. So they have lost half their number. The fact they only lost half their number to all that damage to shooting is pretty impressive from the Dark Technomancer stuff. Maybe he just did jank on the Feel No Pains. Having a 6-up Feel No Pain into damage 2 can just be a bit awful, be really frustrating. Admittedly, he could have the 5-up on that unit. It could be that the other unit got all the other defensive buffs and just the 6+, while that one got the 5+. Because that would explain why they didn't take as much damage as maybe I thought they would. I actually thought they would probably be down to like 5 or 6 models left, but admittedly, like I said before, Liam doesn't know how to roll badly, so he's just a gun on the rolls when he wants to. What are you seeing from the scoreboard there? It doesn't look like they've updated it for the end of the Drukhari turn 2.
No, it does not, but he may not have got much of a chance to get on primary, so he definitely would have got the one on the far right-hand side of the table, so there's another 5 points. So he should be sitting on at least 15 there. Liam's actually been able to just push out a little bit and take all of the primaries away from Gabe. So the very bottom right-hand one is probably the only other one that Gabe has a bit of a say over. But model-wise, Liam is really starting to push a lot of models out there to take that away from him. We're seeing on the left-hand side there that that third possession unit is actually still inside Liam's pocket there. So he's got a bit of a play up his sleeve if need to be late game.
I suppose this might have been I don't want to say this is bait, but he was holding that unit of 20 possessed back. He pushed 2 up, and he pushed the 2 up that weren't fully enclosed and fully hidden. So for those of you who don't know are joining us for this stream, the top right-hand piece of terrain and the bottom left-hand piece of terrain, they both don't have a base on it. And that's for the sole purpose of that. You can be up just off the wall on the bottom level without being seen. So, e.g., like what we used to have with essentially the bottom line of sight, you can just think of it, the bottom floor is completely locked out for that. It just don't touch the wall. So yeah, that would have left him hide that unit completely from his opponent. And on top of that, would have hid it from his optics as well. Like he physically could not be able to see it most of the time. So maybe he forgot it was there, because what he ended up doing was he put over half his army has been deployed into the bottom quadrant of the table, the bottom right-hand corner, right where that unit possessed is. And they're about to bulldoze their way through a hell of a lot of stuff. The fact that he's been able to stream that unit of possessed behind the screen, like I thought he was, he'd be able to go through that line of sight blocking terrain in the middle of the board and stream behind them. He's probably, if this goes really badly, he could lose all 3 of those Venoms down there. If he loses all 3, this might be a real bad time, because I don't think he has enough firepower. He would only have the Reapers that have any ability to kill Possessed past that. On top of that, he can kill all 3 of those and end a lot of his models either in the forest or in that line of sight blocking terrain that's going to be giving him light cover. So he'll have a lot of 3+ saves to block up what is only a -1 shot from the blasts on the Reapers. So he can 4+ bant them off. Admittedly, sorry, he'd have a 4+ into England anyway if he gets Cursed Earth, of course. And if you look really interestingly, look where the end of all 3 of his units are. See how all 3 of his units end within like a 6-inch bubble? So he can just walk his Sorcerer, either he's already in range of Cursed Earth, or he just walks his Sorcerer like 1 inch out of the ruin, and everybody gets Cursed Earth. Really good play there. Like the Tendril skill set is something that Liam is quite close to perfecting.
Yeah, it's definitely better than using that big 20-man unit, especially with that 2 damage and that damage you put out. Majority of the time, he doesn't need all 20 possessed to be able to kill what he's trying to target. He's able to just use 50% of the unit and use the rest as the tail back to the Sorcerer there.
So apparently off the wall is just saying, off tear wall is just saying the link in the description doesn't work for the list. Let me just see if I can copy paste it into the chat for you, mate. Or if you can do that for me, man. I'm actually not logged in anything on the laptop. So if you can actually log in and chuck up that in the chat for these guys so they can get the proper updated lists. I don't know. I'm not sure why that link isn't working. I'll have a look at that in the downtime and make sure and double check that it's updated for the next one. But yeah, we're starting to see some things getting removed, or at least some things changing where they are. This is going to be a rough time at the office. Admittedly, I think Gabe is doing a really good job to limit what Liam can do. All these screens, all the positioning to spread his influence and to spread his scoring ability is quite well done by Gabe. It's like very obvious he's quite a skilled player. He's making some very good plays. Apparently War Magic says the BCP link has worked for him, so that's interesting. Yeah. You do need to be signed in on BCP to be able to view the list, but we've had this is a BCP sponsored event, so the list should be unlocked for anybody who wants to see. You don't need to be a subscriber. Frankie Michael is saying it's also working fine. So yeah, not too sure what's going on there. Hopefully you can get it fixed off tear wall. Let's go back to the four table view. Let's actually just have a quick case to see if the Night Custodes game is even still happening. It could just be completely all she wrote, done and dusted. But yeah, this one I do want to keep some optics and keep some eyes on both the Tyranid and the Harlequin game, and on the Possessed and Dark Eldar game, because there's going to be some big swings. I believe the Dark Eldar game and with Liam and Gabe is about to be decided in this turn. How much Liam picks up will determine Gabe's ability to contest the Possessed any longer and to be able to make any meaningful damage. He's still going to have some pinching stuff available to kind of mess with his primary, but the obvious disadvantage is that he's going to bleed himself out, and Liam's just going to get a 15 at the end of the game, and that's just the unfortunate reality of going second against an army like Liam's. If he goes second, unless you wipe him, he can always double move and grab a bunch of secondaries. A bunch of primary, and of course, a bunch of secondaries, things like engage, things like finishing off scrambles. But onto the top right, it looks like we have had Alaris. Oh, sweet God, sweet merciful God. The double battle cannon knight is dead, and it looks like they've all consolidated, and he's moved up the double Avenger knight to Gatling in, and he's probably going to Gatling into the Alaris, and then charge in and try and finish off the Telemon. But yeah, no chill by this Custodes player, and I love that the knight player is just like, yeah, I'm still going for it. I'm absolutely getting caned. Doesn't matter. Still going to shoot you. Still going to charge you. My knights are going to do what they're going to do. The Palace Grav Tank. It looks like it could have even advanced last turn, which I'm a big fan of, because that probably would have blocked off a bottom movement or that Avenger being able to escape. Because admittedly, like
sneaky run around that L piece there.
yeah, if the double Avenger one went down to the bottom, he could have shot and charged into that other Talonmon, maybe survived, tagged into the Sagittarium, and maybe even got some primary points. I mean, God forbid, God forbid the Custode player lets this guy get any primary points. But we're moving the Palace up there. If this was a game that was hotly contested, that would be an amazing move to stop him from getting any inroads back into the board and keeping him contained in the bottom, literally into the bottom like 10th of this table. Because he's legit walled off, cannot exit that place. It does look like the Shield Captain didn't charge the Helverin or wasn't able to block him off. Either that or he's on low enough wounds that the intervention from the Gatling Knight might have finished him off. Because it looks like he went in long ways and the Helverin just been able to fall back across the bottom of the table. But yeah, no, this is actually... I'm not going to say this is a masterclass, but this is what can happen when you're playing Knights. But this Custode player has played this very well. Obviously, he does have a lot of extremely potent, extremely powerful tools into this match. So I'm definitely not going to say...
he's got everything he needs to be able to deal with these Knights here.
Exactly right. He's got every tool available. He's got the right shield host. He's got the right models in the 2 Talonmons. He's even got the right unit in the Alaris rather than taking the more expensive but better shooting Aquilans. He's taken the Jank instead. I'm 50-50 on those. I don't know which one I like better, the Aquilans or the Alaris. I think it's a personal choice. If you're playing a meta that has a lot more jank in it, bringing the jank toolbox that is the Alaris, the Ignore Overwatch, the shooting and targeting characters,
ignoring AP 1 and 2 is handy as well.
Yeah, exactly right, man. If the Aquilans could get the Ignore AP 1 and 2, actually, can they? Can they get it?
I don't think so. I think it's an Alaris one. I could be wrong there, but I think the main thing. Yeah, it could be. I think the main thing, though, is with the Alaris is unleashing the Alliance. That's what separates the two for me. Having the ability to unleash and have individual OBSEC models cruise around the table, that's what makes them shine.
Well, I'm still a big fan of the consolidate and pile in towards enemy characters rather than...
Yes, that's also a big benefit as well.
Opens up so much jank. I love them to death. But it's undeniable that the Aquilans do a lot more damage. Like, they come down, double shoot with the Lastrums or whatever they may be toting and just do a hell of a lot. And they're actually just better in combat because they got the flat 2 damage now. And they're strength 10 as well. Yeah, they're strength 10, -3 flat 2 damage. Potent. Very potent.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's something that they don't... While they do have it in the Talonmons, they don't have that everywhere in the army. Yeah. And George has just pointed out that the Aquilian can get the Ignore AP 1 and 2 because of Stratus for Termi, so you're right there. Just want to point out, Adam, the benefit we have of having 3 tables here. So we're seeing 3 completely different games here, and we're getting coverage for all of them. So we're seeing Liam and Gabe there have a tactical game that's going to go all the way down to the wire.
Yes.
With some of the top tier lists that we've seen floating around. The Tyranid player that we're seeing on the left obviously isn't one of the most renowned lists that we've got getting around in the meta at the moment, but we are seeing an amazing game from both these players here. It is also going down to the wire, and then the top right, we have an absolute bloodbath of Custodes versus Knights. So we have a variety of games here for everyone to sit back, relax, and watch for the rest of the day.
Yeah, dude, like, guys, they're settled back in. We've got another 6... After this one ends in, an hour and 10 minutes from now, we're still going to have another 6 hours of this to come today. So get excited. Tell your mates, join in, jump on Discord yourselves and talk over this thing, amongst yourselves about what's going on, what you're enjoying while you're painting, wherever you may be in this big wide world. And please, if you want to shout out and chat, let us know where you're hail from, what you're doing with your day, and what you're looking forward to. Looks like, it looks like a really cagey game by Mr. Morrisoli. You guys have just updated us on the scores there. So it looks like Matt Morrisoli won 47-20. Matt took the submarine. Matt took the submarine. The ability to hold your opponent to 20 points is actually ridiculously impressive on some of these tables. And the ability to only get 47 points is actually pretty impressive on these tables. So this is something we were discussing last night. In an 8-player game, normally, if you're going to submarine, in a 6-player game or a 5-player game, normally if you're going to submarine or if you're going to get small wins, you want to do it turn 1 at game 1 and 2. And then turn 3, usually you're playing hard opponents, top table opponents. You don't have much of a choice. You've got to play for the win. 100-player event, first 4 games, you can take the sub. You can just take the sub the whole time. I mean, guys like Lee and Hackett can choose to take the sub. They are entirely lacking of chill and cannot take the sub. This is not in their playbook. But Matt, he actually might want to dodge Liam if he can. Just because of what happened to him in the Masters. He might have a bit of foresight and see what's coming up down the road. And there is no issue with doing any of this stuff. Like, there's no... if he has taken a submarine, if he has done it on purpose, I'm not going to be disparaging and say he has. Friggin' crazy good if he's been able to manipulate that game to only get to 47, and that was part of the plan. Mark has just asked, hey Adam, is there scope to post pics of painted armies at some point? Is there an armies on parade for the event? That would probably go through the event organizers. If they were going to do stuff like that, they'd probably put up the pics. They actually have been putting up the pics of the setup.
That would be on their Facebook page.
Yeah, on their Facebook page. So go to the Uprising Adelaide Facebook page and check it out there. There's a lot of pics, a lot of little videos of them building terrain, setting up the venue, showing the enormous aircon they were able to set up for us. So what Magic's asked, what do you mean sub? We mean submarine. Yeah, so it's just like a...
Going below the surface.
Yeah, you want to go below the surface. Let all the battleships shoot it out on the surface, and you submarine, hang out, and then surface when it's time. Sometimes you want to avoid and let a lot of top players play off each other, especially if you think there's one player that rock paper scissors one of your bad matchups, and they can take that for you, knock that guy out, and then you can go into a better matchup. Yeah, so it's playing under the top of the event. So what Discord are people on? I wasn't saying there isn't a Discord that we're all on, mate. I'm just on Discord with Nick. That's how we're commentating this game. I was saying if people at home want to get on Discord with their mates and talk together while watching it, I think that's an awesome thing to do with your day. If you want to just hang out with your friends and watch us, watch the games in action, because it is pretty cool. We get to watch 3 games. It's a nice spectator sport. I think we are seeing the finale of the Knights and Custodes game. Looks like they're tallying up the final scores. As you can see, the totality of what they have left right now looks to be a single Helverin War Dog that Gatling Knight has been picked up by the combined efforts of the Alaris and the Shield Captain, what looks to be. We're going to jump in and have a look at the NIDS. Just do a quick call, actually, of what seems to be occurring on the... Yeah, what seems to be occurring on the Gabe game. There was a Venom right in the top of the table. That was the one that I assumed he was engaged with on turn 1. That has been picked up by a handful of Possessed. There's also that wall that he had that was in front of the Possessed on the right-hand side, up into the right-hand corner for Gabe. That's also been picked up by the Possessed, moving straight forward. On top of that, I think we're still in the fight phase, because I haven't seen many of the Venoms that had that big investment from what looks like that compromised unit go in. Looks like he actually has taken some return hits. There might be something that's still in combat with those Possessed at the top, because he has taken off a couple of them. Or he's still just getting some psychic powers off, for all we know, because he's moving around some of these small pieces of paper. But yeah, see the Raider at the bottom? He's actually fully surrounded that. There could be a play in which that has been bracketed to its bottom bracket, and that he is going to be zoning off with his consolidate and pile in such a way that it cannot fall back. I think in their bottom bracket they still move 6 inches, which means if he takes up all available space around like 2 inches around it, there isn't, because it's more than 4 inches from side to side, base to base, and from nose to tip, from nose to tail.
It looks like Liam's actually done it to the left there, so Liam's spaced out a fair bit as much as he can to the left, so that actually won't be able to move out to the left at all. And to the right, I don't think there'll be room at all to place that model. So I think you're right there, Adam. I think he has wrapped and tagged that, and that won't be moving at all. Yeah,
good play if it's something that is engineered. Maybe he wanted to kill that Raider and he's fallen short. Maybe it's full of OBSEC that would have given another 15 on the primary, and instead he's just decided to lock it down, wrap it, and deny it falling back. If you can deny falling back and can deny getting shot, amazingly powerful play by Liam. And it will be paying dividends at the end of the game. Every possess he has, coming towards the end of the game, is going to be paying absolute freaking dividends. We're going to transition over to the Tyranid list and the Tyranid game, though. Just get a quick call of what's going on there.
No worries. George has said that he was only halfway through going through Soli's match, and he said he was sorry, mate. No need to be sorry, George. You have corrected us more times than we have possibly corrected you, so you've been all over us, mate. We're very thankful for your contribution. Normac has said an impressive lack of space marines in the top 10. While that is true, we are only halfway through this event, so this is the turning point here. So we will start to see probably some of those space marine lists come forward. And Adam also mentioned at the top of the stream that a lot of the players that we've seen here, a lot of the Chaos Space Marine players, are actually tiered towards actually getting rid of Space Marines. So we're seeing a bit of an anti-meta horde of lists come through, and they're doing the job at the moment.
Well, on top of that, we've got a couple of very strong Harlequin players at this event, and we know Harlequins are one of the only few armies that really hold up and have solid results. They have the best results of anybody versus Marines across the board. No matter what stripe of Marines you are, Harlequins actually have a winning record against you. And so we're seeing a lot of strong Harlequin players. We're seeing strong Chaos players who, like you said, have skewed heavily into anti-Imperium tech. Things like Empress Children, 4+ exploding, Death to the False Emperor, Terminators with lightning claws that are pretty prevalent here. I know Dean Sinbeck's got 3 bombs of those. Matt Marcello's got 2 bombs of those. The only Space Marine player in the top 10 right now is the Marigold. Is Jeremy Marigold. He's playing his Death Watch to great effect right now. We might get a report back on Chelsea from that table if she's able to swing past us and give us some score updates on how those two are going. I'm assuming we should probably swing past here in the next 10-15 minutes with those. But a quick call of this game. The scores are looking pretty good for the Tyranids right now. They're pushing up like aggressively. I don't see a hell of a lot left for the Harlequins. That bike unit has dropped back onto that Objective 5. We'll be contesting it from the Maliceptor. But there was a Wraith Lord or a Wraith Construct just behind Objective 2, behind that unit of Harlequins. And that looks to have been removed. Either that or it's back, it's hiding at the top with the in the block party.
One of the key things to point out that being removed, that is also one of the While We Stand We Fight.
Exactly right.
You're saying the scores are quite close. They're 62-51, so an 11-point gap already to Shane. He's starting to creep ahead, but he no doubt, as we mentioned earlier, we're of the opinion that he has got deployed scramblers, so that will bump him up to 72. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at While We Stand We Fight. Majority of those things may have gone for Michael. So we're not going to see the 15-point swing there for him.
And raise banners is about to be very hard to do. I'm assuming that the raise banners on number 2 was pulled down last turn. That was a double move from the Gaunts. They managed to pull that down. So he's probably going to be getting some points here and there for banners. He's not going to be getting any decent score from it now at all. And I'm assuming
Objective 3 would be the only banner that he has left. And
exactly.
We're about to see one of the big dogs with Cruz over there and rip that banner down.
But how imposing does it look when you're starting to get these big Griblies sitting on objectives, yeah? I suppose this was the risk reward of killing all the OBSEC early. Kill the OBSEC early and then hope you've got enough to start peppering and killing back, or enough OBSEC to still contain or mess with, or score primary points and raise banners and things like that. He's actually, unfortunately, may have bled himself dry. And this is a decent amount of Harlequins sitting either in the block party in the top left or in the bottom left. I'm actually thinking this might be tied up for Shane Condy, and we might be seeing this Tyranid army going 4-0 into round 5, which I would be very happy to see, to be honest.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It would be good to cover him for the rest of the tournament because a lot of people love to see a bit of Tyranid action.
Absolutely.
And they don't get a lot of play. But he's proven that they've got a lot of tools here and they're able to do, got a lot of tricks here. And we've seen Michael previously. He's no slouch at all. He's one of the good players that we've seen. He was able to go toe-to-toe with someone in round 1, I believe. I'm not sure who he played against. But
very potent Necron.
But he made pretty much light work of the opponent that he was up against. And he's played a very cagey game here, but unfortunately just not able to keep up with the durability of the Tyranids.
Exactly right. I'm going to transition us back to the Custodes game, which is just packing up.
Oh,
it's packing up. Look,
I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot.
Look at that scoreline. Shane Miller has never heard of the submarine. Doesn't even know it exists. He's like, battleships all the way, mate. In fact, I'm going to aircraft carrier this bad boy. He's got in an 88. Maxed for primary. We knew that was going to happen. Engaged in all fronts for only 8. I thought he was going to get a couple more there, but I mean, admittedly, like turn 2, he still hadn't made many inroads. It was a turn 3, he had the big investment. While we stand we fight, he still got 10. He did lose one of his Telemons, so he had 1 Telemon left and the Alaris, of course. And Titan Hunter maxed out in good order. What did you see for Chris there? Was there anything that you think was a mistake in hindsight on his secondary scores?
On the actual secondary scores, yeah. So I don't know if taking While We Stand was beneficial to him. I don't know what he could take otherwise. But I think obviously you're playing Knights, you're going to take Titan Hunter. So he knew that his opponent was going to take Titan Hunter, which is going to be this is basically been a 30-point swing just in those While We Stand Titan Hunter alone. So that's probably obviously a problem. Engaging all fronts, I don't see how he's going to sit around on 3/4 of the table for the whole game, let alone half of the game. So that was obviously going to be a problem as well.
Well, engaging all fronts, I'm not quite sure why that was a thing. I mean, admittedly, taking grind them down against Custodes is by no means a sure thing, and minimize losses. I think this was just kind of a bad table, a bad setup versus a literal counter meta pick. Like Chaos Knights,
yeah, that's it.
It's just you can't play into this. They're just going to stomp you, and they did, unfortunately. I'm going to switch us over to the top table game, and I'm going to quickly be indisposed for 2 minutes, guys. I'll actually word up Chelsea and get the scores from those top 2 games, those other 2 top 2 games, and then I'm going to run off, and I'll be right back in a moment, guys. Be right back, mate. You happy to hold it down for me?
No problem at all there, Adam. All right, chat. So let's have a look. We're sitting here with Liam's game now, and we are seeing. We mentioned earlier that that he may be tied in there, but obviously Gabe is able to get that Ravager out and move a bit of a play away from those possessed there. This is obviously still a bit early. We've seen another game wrap up. I think this is probably turn 3 we're looking at. maybe turn 4. No, I'd say it'd be turn 3 there for Gabe. Liam's still a little bit behind on the score, so Gabe is up by 3 points currently. Primary, it's 15 to 10 in favour of Gabe. And then secondaries, we are looking at, what do we got here? 5 for Gabe and a total of 7 for Liam. So we're looking at 30 to 27 in favour of Gabe. So we still have a few more options of units around the table here. On the bottom right-hand side, we can see a few boats still floating around, a few little units. We've got a Venom there, which is possibly actually 2 Venoms there floating around near the center table there. So he can still make some plays here. He still has some options. But yeah, my opinion is that Liam has really started to flood the board here. He's controlling majority of the objectives. He has majority of the units out and can continue to just swamp away on primary. Banners, it's interesting to see that Liam only has 1 currently. That would be the one on the far left of the table in that ruin there, which those possessed have been able to take. He obviously difficult for him to start raising banners with units like the possessed because they are doing majority of the heavy lifting for him there. So he can't just be having them to stop and raise the banners. So maybe those cultists coming out, raising some of those banners, something like that. No doubt he has some other little tricks in his list that will help him raise those banners there. Yeah, so this is one of the more impressive lifts that we've seen coming out of the scene currently at the moment. So what are your thoughts on it, chat? What are we seeing? Are we liking this possessed list? It's obviously got a lot of tricks and shenanigans with the Slanesh double damage coming out of it. It's got a lot of movement tricks. It's got a lot of abilities here to do a lot of the secondaries. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
All right, back in the hot seat. How we doing, brother?
Yeah, good, man.
You there? You hear me?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Hello, Nick.
You got me? Yeah, man. Can you hear me? Yo, there is a lot of can you hear me going on. War Magic is saying easy to tie them up in close combat. Yeah, it is definitely. The possessed are able to be tied up a fair bit. If you have the units to be able to do it. So unfortunately,
hello, Nick.
Gabe does not have the. Yeah, man, I got you.
Damn.
No, we can hear you, man. I can hear you. Any chance of getting a sound check in the chat?
Hello, Nick. You hear me?
Yeah, man.
Hello, Nick. You hear me? Nick, you there, man? You can hear me? Hello.
Hello.
You can hear me, brother?
Yeah, man. I've been able to hear the whole time.
Well, there we go. Apologies, everybody. A little bit of technical issues. I may or may not have kicked the computer in my professionalisms. What are we missing here? Just jumping straight back in. Any major developments?
Mostly the sound has been the element. People are saying that they can't hear me. Now they can hear me. We're all good to go, I think.
Beautiful. I can hear Nick now. Can you guys confirm you can hear me?
All right. So what we did see is that the Ravager that we mentioned earlier on the bottom center of the table, that has actually been able to escape the combat from the possessed, and that has done a bit of a boot scoot over to the right there. So that is now free to do some movements.
Brilliant. We're looking to get some possessed being picked up here from the top squad. It looks like that. So it does look like the Raider wasn't sufficiently wrapped or sufficiently degraded, which it could not fall back because it has fallen back, yeah. It has fallen back, yeah. Falled back, yeah. The goodest English. You can't hear me, Nick.
Yeah, man, I can hear.
Please stop pinging us, ow. Fair enough. Apologies, guys. Is the Tyranid game finished? Let's have a quick look. We'll just jump back and I'll have a quick look on my side of things and see if it is still in motion. It looks like it is. It looks like it's closing out for the Tyranids. We might jump over there and call the last bit of that game, and then we'll be able to stick with this top table match for the duration of the remainder. But Gabe being up by 3 points right now, do you think that's pretty bad for Liam, or do you think he's going to be able to swing it back as he has at the bottom of the turn?
Yeah, I personally think that Liam's going to be able to swing it back. Majority of things like banners and stuff, he hasn't actually performed yet because he's been doing too many things with those possessed. So the things like the cultists and that will be able to pop out later and start getting some banners and get some sneaky little points.
Yeah, agreed. The transition should be coming through for you guys. Bum. Oh man, YouTube ads. But anything that you guys want to see in the chat? Any games? We don't have much control over things thereafter. So from this part on, from table 5, we've just seen a fist bump on the Tyranids table. From this game on, from table 5 to the rest of it, we're just going to be calling the top table games. Ever the top 3 games of this event. For the last 4 games of the event, we'll just be showing those. If the players on for multiple times, multiple streams, so be it. The beauty of having 3 games that if we've seen a guy play too many times, we just give him 1 minute out of every 20 or 30, or 1 minute out of every 10. So be it. Just jump back and forth, see how it's going. But this one looks like did not add up the way I thought. I actually tipped Michael Magentis to probably get up in a 6 objective missions playing Harlequins, but man, the Tyranids have churned it out. Look at that scoreline, pretty damn close.
Yeah, they definitely have. Whether or not they've put the deploy, it looks like they finished their score. So maybe Shane was unable to get scramblers, but he's still able to get that 9 point advantage there. Yeah, we both thought that Michael would be able to pip him, but hanging around, he's got a unit of warrior hive guard on the bottom right hand side. So Michael wasn't actually able to get through the Tyranids as we thought.
Yeah, well, it just sounds like he invested all his resources in taking away their OBSEC. And what it ended up doing, it meant he gassed out in the last couple of turns of the game. Because pretty much we just saw these big bugs have full reign and just walk up to the board pretty much unmolested. Where it's interesting, I think there still is some Harlequin troop in combat with the Barbed Hero Drill. Not that I think that matters at this point. As you can see, the only real points that have gone begging for Shane Condi is that the fact that he didn't get deploy scramblers. I find that quite interesting. I thought he would have easily gotten them. Like he had that unit of Tuned Warriors that we assumed got them in the midboard, the Lictor in the backboard. And of course, he's had infantry in his table zone for the entire game. Over to his opponent's side, still getting 10 for while we stand, we fight. That means, you know what that means? That means there's another Wraith construct in the block party. There's another one up there we can't see.
Yeah, you can just see it on the top left hand there. So that continues the trend of whatever's happening on this balcony is a good time.
Yeah, it gets you points. You get 10 points just for hanging out at that balcony at the end of the game. 9 for raised banners is actually quite respectable, I think, on this mission. It probably could have gone a few more, but admittedly, like the Tyranids just pulled them all down at turn 4 and turn 5. I don't think he got any. 9
on raised banners is very good when you've gone 25 on the primary. So he's done well there to get as high as he had when well on the primary.
Spot on, good call. But yeah, well done to Mr. Condi. We will probably be seeing him on one of these tables for the next round as well. It would be cool to see how deep and how far this Tyranid list can go. Admittedly, I think everyone's of the opinion that the list probably isn't as good as it might be, but I mean, I'm not sure there's any really good lists for them at the moment. So it's just a pretty yuck state of events. Jaws has asked, hey Adam, you should get Diffie to do some number crunching after this tourney that looks at secondaries taken and how many points were scored, etc., etc. It would be good to see. Dude, I can tell you 100% that is our intent. That is our intent to do a nice stream, probably mid next week or early the week after, once we've come back and my throat has recovered from the beating it is taking. Yeah, we'll do a breakdown. I might do another stats episode on my podcast as well. Pretty much just focused on the washout from this event. But yeah, really well done to Mr. Condi, and we'll hopefully see some bigger and bigger things from him as this event continues as well. So I guess we'll switch over to Gabe's one. Yeah.
100%. It'd be good to get Diffie to do some work. We know he's just sitting around doing nothing all the time. So
oh yeah, dude.
It'd be good to actually put him to use.
He's such a slacker. Like, it's annoying how much of a slacker he is. I have the transition button. We should be having the Gabe and Liam game come up any moment now. Look, the pressure is on. Like, the pressure is absolutely on Gabe now. He needs to really, really do some... I think he needs to do something quite impressive this turn to me to start believing that he's going to pull out a win here. I'm not saying it's out of his reach, but the power of going second, I feel like, is going to... As long as Liam stays in touch, the power of going second is going to mean that I think he's going to win this. What are you seeing here, brother? Are you seeing any real change of the board state from these two players?
Not really. Gabe's obviously done as much as he could to keep board control in his power, but it is slowly slipping out of his grasp with Liam just sort of continuing to just tendril out and only do the bare minimum that he needs to. I don't think Liam is doing anything to overcommit or to risk losing some of those bubbles or the tendrils that he has from those possessed there. None of the cultists have come out for a bit of a peekaboo to see what they can do and to contribute to the game. So I think Liam's just doing the bare minimum that he can to keep ahead, and he's doing it quite well.
There is some risks here for Liam. Admittedly, he's lost nearly half of his possess so far. The top unit has become not quite compromised, but it is looking pretty thin on the ground. I feel like we're still in the...
I think this is turn 3.
Yeah, but it looks like he's putting wounds... of course, sorry. He's putting wounds on his Venoms because he's shooting Dark Technomancers, and the ones to wound takes mortal wounds. But... So the top unit of Possessed only has 12 left, so their ability to tendril back to their buffs is probably going to be gone as of next turn. He's probably going to be either leaving them there to hold those and contest those 2 objectives, or he's going to be leapfrogging them and trying to get a Reaper down. Gabe is doing a great job of keeping his Reaper safe. The one that was at the top of the table behind the L has moved down to join his compatriot that's on top of the crate, another one at the bottom as well. So he is looking pretty well to maybe hold on to those while we stand for a little bit longer. I will say the one on the crate might be a little too close for comfort, might be getting charged next turn with the 5-inch vertical coherence in the vertical engagement range. That unit that's just to the left of the line of sight blocking terrain could get a double move through there and get quite a simple charge into that Reaper to bring it down. What is also interesting is that he's actually lost quite a few from the bottom unit so far. I'm assuming that's the one that's getting the most investment of firepower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's got 14 left there. He has lost 6 from that unit. So he's lost 6 from that unit, 8 from the top unit, and half from the middle unit. So he's almost lost half of his total possessed count. But like I said before, 3 units of 5 possessed could probably still kill most of this army if it didn't get to shoot back, you know? It's actually quite obnoxious.
Yeah, that's it. He still has that unit in his pocket as well. So he's got that last unit of 20 that he can throw around as well.
Oh, so no, they're all on the table. All possessed around.
Oh, what's that unit behind that ruin then?
That's cultists.
Oh yeah, true. Sorry,
yeah. So he's got 3 into cultists up his backboard edge, and then he's got the 3 in his possessed in front of them.
Yeah, you're right there. My bad. And obviously those cultists that Liam have at the back there are actually stopping some deep strike units. So Gabe's unable to completely deploy scramblers currently. So I don't think he's done that. So that's something that he's got to need to start working on. How he's going to get into Liam's deployment zone, I am unsure of.
Yeah. So as for the scores, I mean, the primary I still think is going to swing Gabe's way. Admittedly, like in the start of the next turn for Liam, he is going to get a nice 10 for his primary because he is holding 3. I don't think there's any realistic way that Gabe puts anything to hold either of those objectives. He could have slung something, I guess, with a nice advance onto the top left objective. But if he does that, like he's at a legitimate risk of bleeding out. Legitimate risk of bleeding out if he keeps doing things like what he's doing for the first 2 turns.
Especially considering Liam has grind them down.
Exactly right, man. How's that paid out for him so far? He's got both turns of the game so far. Like, admittedly though, Liam hasn't lost a unit. He hasn't lost a single unit.
Yep.
So literally, it's just did I kill a unit? Guess I get 3 points. That is powerful. That in itself is very powerful. Raise the banners, only 1 point. Is. Only 1 point to raise the banners is a bit rough. I'm not sure what that score is going to end up. I'd be very surprised if he gets over 10 points to raise the banners from this position. He might end up somewhere around the 6 or 7 point mark. And minimize losses is another one. I'm curious to see what ends up happening there. What did you say?
Well, he hasn't actually been able to do any actions to perform. So while he is sitting on those objectives with the possess, he's had to use those possess. So he's been unable to raise the banners with them.
Now, it's actually
so their arms are being used to punch on with Jakari rather than lift the flag that they should be.
Exactly right. But that's been also a really good play by Gabe. He's been, for the first 2 turns of the game, he has had saturation of units on top of his 2 home objectives. One's in the middle, of course, not in the one in his home objective, which has been stomped on by 10 cultists and a bunch of characters. So yeah, good play by both players so far. The issue is the diminishing returns is just going to start being a factor for the Dark Eldar, whereas it is not yet a factor for Liam. Like I said, as long as he has 5 possessed, he still has a very dangerous unit. Whereas Gabe needs a lot of moving parts to operate in the same manner. I suppose that's the big strength of these units of possessed, but you do need to be very good with them. Your tendrils need to be perfect due to the changes to the coherency rules, and yeah, you can really just start losing bodies wholesale if you move incorrectly or you pick up casualties incorrectly, of course.
Yeah, and just looking in the chat there, adaptive subroutines, props to them for making the sponsor. So that's a shout out to BCP there for making this a sponsored event. Now, that probably is a time for us to go through some of our sponsors that we've got here, Adam.
Please.
I can start with Best Coast Pairings if you'd like.
Yeah, please do, man.
Yeah, no worries. So Best Coast Pairings is the premier mobile application for running Swiss-style gaming tournaments. Simply put, the best tournament experience. Over 2020, we have seen some exciting changes to BCP with the merging of Best Coast Pairings and Down Under Pairings. Joshua Diffie, the Omnisire, has joined the dev team and has built out a number of cool new features, including the streaming assets we are looking at today with me and Adam. That is live scorecards, round timers, and event placings, all powered by BCP themselves. If you are looking at running an event, BCP is a tool for you. BCP has sponsored this event, as we've mentioned earlier, so that you boys have access to all this available. So yes, you do need to log in and create an account with BCP, but you don't need to pay to be able to see any of the lists today. And based on BCP, that is how we are getting our live updated scores.
Yeah, so thanks to BCP and the work done by Joshua Diffie, he's we're able to literally get a piece of the code when the pairings happen in BCP, extrapolate it and chuck it into our overlay, and it automatically takes the scorecard that they are updating round by round and puts it onto our stream. It's a very, very powerful piece of tech, and it's a great enabler for people like Nick and I to be able to do what we do. It would just be up to our ability to read the table otherwise, but due to this, we actually have to give you guys accurate information and not make assumptions. And so I really, really, really much prefer it. As for the next one of our sponsors, I'm going to start with the Normal Blokes. So the Normal Blokes, an awesome podcast that's run out of Brisbane by a bunch of lovely men, community men, guys who do a lot for the community and do a lot to make sure people feel welcome and inclusive in there. So they run a podcast. They were lovely enough to come on and stream the Masters for us so I could play in the Masters. Admittedly, didn't get too deep, so I probably could have done games 2 and 3, but I wanted to let them have their run at it because they quite enjoy doing it also. Next one I'd like to talk about is Knights of Dice. They specialize in laser cut products. Knights of Dice focus on developing a premium range of products, ensuring the majority of our kits have an incredible level of detail that are produced on the finest laser cutters available. In addition to amazing MDF terrain, they also have an amazing array of army carry cases with a range of different foam options. If you play this hobby, there is no better case you can use to support the show, and you can get yourselves a 15% discount. Use the coupon code Art of War, all one word, all in capitals. Chuck it in, get yourself 15% off from the wonderful people at Knights of Dice.
Yeah, very true. All right, there's a lot of people in the chat too. They're asking about your personal podcast, Adam. So where can they get in touch with you and hear some more of your lovely voice?
So I'm on the Frontline Gaming Network and also run a Patreon, and I'm sold on the artofwar40k.com. So I run a 2-part podcast, which is mostly focused on reviewing of 40k content. When GW releases a codex, I review it on my show. And the whole premise of that show is that it's very hard to keep up with 40k content at the moment. It's very hard to keep up with what is happening and developing in our meta, in our scene, consistently over time. And so I take a piece of content, I review it with a top player or a top person who's quite known or quite renowned for their prowess with a certain faction or has a certain know-how of the game, and we break it, pull it apart, put it back together, and go through all the bits and pieces of what this faction can do and what it wants to do. And so we extrapolate the information from a codex and give it to you in podcast form for your viewing pleasure, so that you don't need to run out and download PDFs or get gotchas on the table when you play against Death Guard for the first time and don't know that Morty can turn off all your rerolls, things of this ilk. And so it's really there to be a nice viewing experience, an enjoyable chat with some laughs, and also very informative. The part 2 of that chat is more breaks down into how you want to play the certain codex, what are the best things in it, how you want to build it, what are the first points of call for new players getting started in there. If that is at all something that is up your alley, find us on Patreon, Art of War _down_under, or you can buy our podcast and the Art of War podcast for a nice lump sum of $10, rather than paying $5.90 for both, which is what they're both sold for on Patreon. You get both for $10, save yourself $1.80 every month, and get both, double the content. So, that's us. Anything else you guys would like to hear from before we have to go back
Well,
to giving lip service to our? No, never mind. You go.
yeah, no, you're right. We're just something that's actually been pointed out in the chat here. So that possess unit that Liam has up the top there, so they are actually out of coherency. So he has more than 5 men in that unit, and they are actually stringed out across majority of the table there.
So what he needed was to have one more guy at the top end, at the right side end, to tie that off. Perhaps he's just forgotten. Perhaps he didn't have the availability to take them from the middle, that is what looks like has happened. But yeah, that's the thing. He has messed up his tendril play. They have missed it. I will not be besmirching them for missing it. It is something that I miss all the damn time. And it's not something that I like enforcing with anybody. And it's actually not a rule that I'm a fan of. I would rather just have a rule that doesn't bring gotcha elements or feels bad elements into my game, because I feel like G-Dub, with a lot of the way factions play, they've pulled out a lot of the gotcha feel bad stratagems and elements on the game, and then they just got this big old one at the end, which can do nothing but cause conflict, right? So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, but maybe neither Liam or Gabe have seen it. There was some things that Liam could have done to ensure that didn't happen, so maybe who knows, maybe they're just a bit of a lack of foresight there. All right.
Yeah, every time I see them point to these units, I assume they've picked up on it. But yeah, there's not much we can do about it. That's obviously their game, and we have to stay out of it and let them just do their thing. Joshua Diffie has jumped on in the chat there, and he has asked, what has he missed out? Mate, you have missed out on 3 amazing games so far. We have seen an absolute bloodbath. The Custodes have given it to the Chaos Knights. That was a fun, exciting game. We have seen Tyranids take care of Eldari, which has been good to see. We don't see a lot of Tyranids popping up. But I believe it was Shane there who's given it to Michael, who's also been on the stream already and had a good win. So Shane has taken out a good win for the Tyranids, and now we are coming to the close on this epic close battle between Liam and Gabe.
Yeah, it looks
player 1 and 2 of the tournament.
Yeah, Liam's having another big investment into the right-hand side. Of course, that is the major concentration of the Dark Eldar. It doesn't look like he's going to get to the Reapers this turn either. But mind you, if he is able to just stage where he is at the moment, posture up behind the other line of sight blocking terrain with the other unit, there's really nowhere he can move apart from straight up. And even if he goes straight up, he is still going to be getting charged by Possessed at some point. This is an interesting one. We've got a bit of an interesting move back by the Possessed at the bottom left-hand corner. They're moving backwards. Maybe he's just looking to hunker up. Maybe he's of the opinion he doesn't need all those units at the moment. He can hold one back, secure that he can't get janked up on the primary again, and just sling that unit in fully buffed with all the defensive goodness. Or maybe he's just convinced that he only needs a handful of Possessed to get the job done that he needs to get done. George and the guys, we are not active. Just to point out, guys, we are not active judges. We call the game as we see it. It is not our job to police anything. There are a good swathe of judges at this event. If either player has any questions, they can sort it out themselves when that happens. I'm not about to walk up to this table and point out that Liam loses the majority of a unit of Possess this turn. It's not a hat I want to wear or a responsibility I want to hold. I already feel like I hold enough responsibilities in this realm. So, yeah, it's definitely not something I want to put on myself and not something I want to put on Nick either. So we're just here to call the game, guys. If they miss things, that's on them.
Yeah, 100%. And this happens on nearly every game as well. So... Yeah, had we not been streaming this game, it may have gone unnoticed as well, which could definitely happen on majority of games.
Legitimately, this does happen every game. Just about every game I've called, with the exception of maybe a handful that have been played perfect by both opponents, have some rules discrepancies, have some rules issues. Some of those are big, some of those are small, some of those are game-changing, some of those aren't.
It looks like, and George just pointed out if it was him, he would just make him tie the knot at the very end, and it looks like now that has been done. Personally, I would have done the same. So it looks like it has been fixed. So it's not a giant issue. But looking at points wise here, we'd mentioned earlier that Gabe would be pushing early to try and get as much as he could, and Liam would be coming back late game. And it looks like that is the case now with Liam having pipped up to 39-33. So he's got a 6-point lead overall. The banners are starting to raise up slowly, so he's gone from 1 up to 3. Grind him down. He was unable to pip the points, I believe, there on Grind him down, so he's remained on 6. But he has gone up to 20 on the primary.
So just to point out, this is the bottom of turn 3.
There does seem to be some kind of openings now for Gabe to be able to jump in and grab those deploy scramblers. So those...
I think I'm getting interneted, guys. Hold tight. Hold on to your pants. Australian internet's doing this funky thing.
You there, Adam?
Yes, I'm here, but the Australian internet is not being nice to me. Hold fire, guys. We'll be with you momentarily.
All right. So as I was just about to point out, okay, I've cut out here.
No, I can hear you, brother.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we're good to go.
So what I was about to point out is we were looking a bit earlier that there may be some issues with Gabe being able to get deploy scramblers, but he's deep strike a unit onto that bridge there on the top left hand side of it, and there seems to be an opening there to jump them down into the middle of the building if they survive and be able to get deploy scramblers. So that will be a big play and a big 10-point turning point for Gabe.
Yeah.
How long do they have left on the clocks? We actually have a live clock coming up underneath those swollen shoulder boulders of Adam. If you look at those giant shoulders that he's got hanging out of that singlet, there is a live clock feed there.
Yeah, there is a live feed from the tables. Another wonderful innovation by Joshua Diffie and the BCP team. They have got round timers built into BCP, and so as soon as the TO hits go live, the round timer starts and or hits the pairings. Around time it goes starts, and yeah, it's a big deal. It's actually really cool that we get to do this. We are having some more internet issues, unfortunately. Australia having some warp surges currently. Could be an issue due to the heat right now outside, causing it. Got up by 1 point, yeah?
No. The scores weren't finished when we did that.
Okay.
It was like 5, I think.
5 points?
We didn't do end-of-game banners and a few other things.
Well done, brother. Good win.
It's a couple of points.
Yeah. Matt Rossoli is just poking his head in. I don't believe you can hear me, guys.
BO3, War Magic in the...
Unfortunately, we are warp surging here.
All right, so BO3, War Magic is out of BO3 would get rid of a lot of the gotcha. I'm unaware of what BO3 is, War Magic. You want to fill this in? What is BO3?
Apparently they can hear me, so that's pretty good. I will continue my call.
I can hear you.
I continue my call as if everything's fine. Yeah, I can hear you now, Nick. Yeah, sorry, we just had a bit of a warp surge. Sweet. Australian, warp surge. We are literally living in the realm of chaos, undeniably. If there is any nation that's in the realm of chaos, it's definitely our one. Into the right side, the Possessed have got into what looks to be a unit of racks, and they are wrapping. There's one guy left, and he is getting wrapped, my man. That is a bad time. Bad time for the Dark Eldar. So that unit will pretty much be able to get to Reapers, no matter where the Reapers may go this next turn. It's funny that Liam has been willing to take the crater issues in order to have a couple of guys in cover, because it will make a big difference because they are admittedly out of the Cursed Earth range. So we'll still be able to get 4+ against the Reaper shots with the -1s. Admittedly, there might be a time when they change the beam profile, knowing that, and take them to their 5-up. But it's really up to Gabe what he thinks the value judgment is there. A bunch of these Venoms are still alive, surprisingly, but maybe that combat hasn't been conducted yet. Because, yeah, man, I expected to see an absolute fun bucket of dice being wielded by Liam, rather. War Magic says BO3 will take care of it, because BO3 is best of 3. I would actually love to start to see some best of 3s. There's been a lot of talk about sideboarding in 40k for many, many, many years. And I think that could be a really cool element. Like, everyone brings 1,500-point lists that don't change, and then 3 sideboards and play best of 3s. So you have, cool, you bought a little bit of different tech in each one of your 500-point sideboards. That would be sick. I would love to call those kind of games. It'd be very hard to keep track of, though, if we were calling multiple of them. So maybe that's like a super, super top table game by 2 opponents, like the end of the LVO. They do a best of 3. That would be absolutely sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would be a bit better option than best of 3 for game and time management wise. Best of 3, that's one. You would get one session in per day. So best of 3 for a 40k, we'd have to play like about 1,000-point games or something like
that. Michael Swain, the Possessed Bomb is an 8th ed list. They said it's not good in 9th, they said. Liam said Possessed power of no chill is over 9,000. That's really good. I might copy-paste that for Liam later. But yeah, dude, how significant
for him.
How significant is that wrap, do you think, at the top?
At the top there? The around that Possessed at the top there?
Yeah, the Possessed, they're wrapping off a rack, I would assume.
Just one single rack, yeah, so they get both the objectives there.
Yeah, pretty significant. Also, we've seen that unit of Possessed in the bottom middle has picked up another unit of racks. I'm surprised that they didn't consolidate. I would have thought they'd consolidate and tap that Venom and cause it to lose some fire or pretty much focus where it wants to shoot. The other unit of Possessed didn't even charge. I'm assuming that's because he's decided he actually needs to put up banners, and that unit is putting up a banner instead of charging. Good call there by him, because he's probably got one up on all the other two, and that was the one that was being denied quite heavily by Gabe. So getting those banners up now is a big deal. He's also zoned him off pretty significantly, which is why I wanted to see those Possessed that just killed those other racks, tap that Venom and tap that unit below them, just to kind of corral where they can and can't move. Maybe get on the inside of them and create a bit of a wall between them and that objective, because admittedly they can from where they are right now. Just move in advance and pull that banner down and make that a bit of a moot point, what Liam just did.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm just going to bow out for a couple of minutes, Adam, and I will leave you to do your magic.
Not a problem at all, my man. Okay, looks like I think we're probably going to be getting scores coming in for the end of turn 3 for these players. We're probably going into the top of turn 4 for Gabe. 42 to 43 right now. So that is, 42 to 43 right now. So we're just going to see if Liam updates a couple of his scores as of the end of this turn. So I'm expecting some more. 3 more for Grind Them Down has just come in. And that is about it. 0 minimal losses is pretty interesting. I can't remember word for word what that one is. Maybe someone in the chat is able to kind of copy paste it from a document and chuck it in there for us. So Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can he cornucopia the rack out of the wrap? Absolutely, he can. He's willing to take a 2-point deficit in order to do it. He for sure can. War Magic. This is a super tight, close game by two super proficient players. Gabe is leveraging a lot of faction mastery. He only really plays Dark Elder and maybe some Eldari mixed in. Like I did see him, he won a Terracon major tournament 2 years ago now, unfortunately, due to 2019, where he played literally just like Venom Spam Dark Eldar with 3 Crimson Hunters and just beat everybody. He played extraordinarily well. And he is still playing well here. He's still making big moves. I'm interested to see if he does cornucopia that unit out, or if he thinks he's already got more than enough targets to work with that he doesn't need to. And wants to save the CP. Admittedly, he probably doesn't need to shoot that top unit of Possessed. He has nothing that's going to take those objectives back from him, so he should be investing all his firepower in the objectives that matter, these bottom 2. So I can see him leaving that guy there. Unfortunately, what that does mean is that unit of Possessed does get a better leapfrog, because they're going to kill that one rack, get a 3-inch console towards the Reapers, 7-inch move, definitely going to be charging 1, possibly 2 Reapers next turn if he doesn't cornucopia out and kill that unit. But I don't think he has the choice. I don't think he has the option. I think his whole focus has to be laser pointed down to the bottom of this table. In fact, I think we might see all 3 of those Reapers right into the bottom right-hand corner, looking through that lane just right below his phone, and one of them just tagging 1 millimeter off that right-hand objective would be my assumption. Gabe's list, so Gabe has just updated his scramblers, so he's got his 10 points of scramblers have just come in, putting him at 53 points, so to 42 by Liam Hackett. In all honesty, this might be the last turn of the game for both players. If that is the case, I think we're going to be seeing a 15-point turn from Liam. He's currently holding 4 objectives. Gabe would need to do something to deny the bottom left-hand objective from the Possessed. If he does that, it would even out to a 10-point for Liam. He would end on 42. And then all he needs to do is just get what would I assume would be 3 or 2 for raised banners, and then another couple at the end of the game, and another Grind Them Down, and the game would be cinched by a couple of points. But it's not going to be a big score for either player to my mind, unless Liam does manage to max his primary due to having a turn 5. Just looking into the...
Yeah, you're spot on there, Adam. Just letting you know that I'm back, mate. Also.
Mate, go for it. What you got to say, man?
No, pretty much just listening to your great coverage as well, just like the people in the chat. I'm just sitting here and enjoying your wonderful voice, mate. You've picked up most things correctly. I think Liam is looking for that late game swing. He's with that unit of Possessed at the top there. Whatever's happened with that daisy chain has happened, and it is now being dealt with. And I think that is what's going to contribute towards his 15-point swing here.
Yeah, exactly right.
There's not a lot of stuff left from Gabe. Getting those deploy scramblers was big. We're looking at While We Stand We Fight. Are they those Ravagers that he have in the far backhand side, I believe? Would that be correct?
Yes, they're the Reapers. Yeah, the Forge World Ravagers, essentially. They are going to need to do some heavy lifting this turn.
Yes.
I think I'm of the opinion that this unit of Possessed, the one that daisy chained through the middle terrain piece, can almost not be here at the end of this turn. It has to actually be gone. I like he's doing a bit of due diligence right now. He's measuring out his Reapers. He's making sure they have the furthest possible distance away from that top unit of Possessed. I'm of the opinion he's got, I think it looks like 3 CP. Can you see a 3 on that building right now?
I cannot. Yeah, it looks like a 3. Top right-hand corner there looks like a 3 to me. Either a 3 or a 2.
So he could drop those CP. He could cornucopia out that unit of racks, get 10 back, chuck him in the backfield, and start getting some more points for engagement off fronts because of it. Because right now, he's not getting any engage points this turn. He will need to make a charge with what I believe is a unit of either racks or witches that are sitting right to the bottom of the middle line of sight, blocking piece of terrain. They can charge over, pull down the banner that Liam just put up, and get 2 points on engage. That's probably the best play he's got available. The issue is with that charge, do they survive the possessed? Admittedly, they still will pull down that banner either way because they'll control it at the end of the charge phase because they're OBSEC and the possessed are not. That is why I would have liked to have seen Liam put out like 1 or 2 cultists onto that objective as well, therefore meaning that he needs to put the entire witch unit or a rack unit onto that objective, e.g. they all need to be in combat. Because the other option is he kills a few...
Not just trying to get rid of a couple of cultists there. Yeah, that's a very good call. So Gabe's while we stands, will they be those 3 vehicles on the bottom right-hand side there? Is that correct?
Sorry, can you say that again?
While we stand for Gabe, because that's one of his secondary he's taken. They will be the 3. Yeah, so we're looking at another 15 points here. So that may actually help Gabe just peep ahead on Liam's big 15-point turnaround on objectives there.
Dude, legit, if this is the last turn of the game, it might win it for him, man. We're seeing shooting coming into a back unit of cultists. See, he's got a venom. He doesn't need to go into the bottom left-hand corner. He already has a unit there. Is that the Scourges as well that have jumped into the top left-hand corner on top of Liam's?
Yes, I do believe that's what he's used to get deploy scramblers. So they were on the top of the bridge there, on the top left in the middle there. They've jumped over and they're what's deployed scramblers. So that is also helping with engage as well.
Exactly. So he's going to get a 4 point for engage. And man, Gabe is set to score some decent points now.
Is he going to get a full points? Because I think he's going to have the top left-hand corner. He's obviously going to have the both bottoms of the board, so that's going to get him his 2 points. Do you think that one little unit there on the top right is going to survive?
No, it's not, but he's still going to get 2 points. Yeah, I was just thinking now, like, he's got nothing in the top right-hand corner.
It's going to be a 2 point.
It's going to be a 2-pointer, yeah. So if the game ends at this turn and Liam, we only got 20 minutes left in the round, man. I'm of the opinion they've got 1 more turn left in this game. It's going to be a turn 4 finish. If Liam doesn't get a Reaper or 2, Gabe might freaking win this, guys.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that Gabe actually holds on here with that while we stand. So Liam's going to have to do something about getting some of those boats down. He's going to also have to play fast. That's what we're going to need to see from Liam. Liam's going to need to play fast and make sure he gets both turn 5s in because he's going to have to max out on primary because Gabe doesn't have the ability to keep going toe-to-toe and keep that primary up. So, yes, he'll be able to get another 5 points from that one on the far right, but he's not going to be able to get the 10 or the 15, which he will need to continue to match it with Liam because late game we are going to see Liam carry ahead and max out on that primary.
Yeah, I'll get very close to. Fuzzy hair, 1, 3, 2, 1. I think Gabe will win. If he's while we stand, we fight, survive. Yeah, I'm actually of the opinion he probably doesn't. He probably does win. If he has all 15 points from the while we stand, Liam actually needs to get a 45 on his primary in order to swing this one back. But admittedly, the rack goes down at the top. He holds one of the 2 top objectives. Admittedly, you can't hold. Can you hold 2 objectives with 1 unit now, guys?
Yes, you can.
So he's got the top 2. He's going to have the one in his deployment zone, obviously. That Venom didn't kill enough cultists to get that one off him. So he's going to hold those 3. If he holds the bottom left as well, he's going to get a 15 point on his next one, go up to 35, which would put him on 57. And then all he needs to do is get 2 or 3 for banners, 58, 59, 60, and then another grind him down by getting pretty much any kill for 63. That would mean if Gabe gets 10 for while we stand, we have a tied game, guys. And the engagement on front is going to go up by another 2. So he's getting about 55. So I'm of the opinion that Liam almost needs a turn 5 to win from this position. So we'll actually see what happens. Because with 18 minutes left, he might not get it. Minimize losses hasn't cashed in at all, which is something that can pivot up there. Do you know what minimize losses is off the top of your head?
I do not, mate. I was about to ask you what that was. If you don't know, I'm able to look it up.
Yeah, please do. We need to know what that is and why he scored 0 on it. Because right now, that is literally what's holding him back from probably having a stranglehold on this game that is insurmountable. The fact he's got 0 on that. Or is it doing that? Just point out our good mate Michael Neighbour is in the chat. Yeah. Hello to Michael Neighbour. Good stuff. We've also got Alex Reimel as well, who is fuzzy hair. Welcome, man. Hope you guys are having a great day. All
right, so I'll look that up now if you want to keep everyone entertained like you do, Adam.
Yes, Frankie Michael has just pointed out it's points for percentage of army left over at the end. Oh, dear.
I see.
Oh, dear. Yeah, I will tell you right now.
Liam's looking high on that one.
He hasn't lost a unit. Hasn't lost a single damn unit from his army. It's quite likely that unless you get percentage points for points gone, as in if you kill them down to 1 model, you still get like 90% of the score off. He's going to get a 15 on that, and this game is actually cooked. Stick a fork in it. She's done if he's got a 15 locked in for minimum losses.
It was much more exciting when we didn't know what
When
minimal
we-
losses were.
we didn't know.
We should look that up at the end.
We can turn back time, guys. Forget it exists. But yeah, that's looking like it's going to be somewhere between a 10 and a 15. If you get a 15 on primary, that's a 30-point swing already. It puts him on 72. That's an insurmountable. Win, and there's not much that Gabe can do to get back from there.
Yeah, that would also explain why those cultists just haven't left. They're having their own block party, so they've also occupied that top left-hand building and the bottom building there, the middle, sorry, and they're just having their own block parties on a different table as well. So yeah, he definitely has 75% or more for 15. So yeah, he's definitely going to have more than 75% of his army left. So he would definitely get 15 there.
He's almost certainly going to get 15.
If Gabe kills 3 units, he gets 5.
Yeah, 100% there.
Yeah, but he can't. Liam hasn't lost a unit yet.
What are the Wally steps? He's lost cultists.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like Soli's giving us some nice updates there.
Soli is while we stands his Reapers, and all three are still alive. So we're pretty much sure if Liam can take any while we stand points off Gabe, I'm pretty sure Liam's going to win. If he doesn't, I'm actually not sure where this is going to sit. Soli just chimed in and said he's lost some. We were unsure whether he's lost some cultists. He has lost at least 1 unit of cultists. That doesn't bring him under the 75%. It still looks like he's probably going to get 15. If you can put him down to 10, that means that mitigates whatever he's going to lose from the while we stands. That unit of possessed at the top, wrapping off the rack, is going to kill that rack. They're going to go and dive in. If they get 1 Reaper, game is almost cooked. They get 2 Reaper. This thing is done. The fact is, this bottom of turn is still going to be really pivotal for Liam. Issue is, he doesn't get to cash in on scoring at the end of turn 5. That rack did just get picked up. And I'd like to let you guys know that unit of possessed that was out of coherency has now been pulled down to 5 models left. AG is back in coherency, so no stress, no fuss there. Nick, this is tense.
And it definitely is. Yeah, we've obviously had a bit of drama there with the units being out of coherency and whatnot. Like you said, they've been pulled down to 5, so we're seeing some rectifications as we go, which is all good as long as the players agree on it, I'm guessing. Obviously, not knowing what minimal losses has given us a bit of a sway on what we thought was happening, but it's still like you've mentioned, it's still just as close.
Absolutely.
Whether or not we can get the full 5 turns out is a big deal because we know Liam is. Oh, there we go. We've got some scores updated. So Liam has gone up to 35 on the primary. He has actually pulled ahead by 3 points. So with 14 minutes remaining, I think we'll be able to get both players will be able to get a turn in if they're fast. We know Liam's a fast player. He's only going to do the bare minimum that he needs to make sure he gets it done because he needs to get these points here.
So one thing I'm concerned about is the fact that Liam forgot to consolidate his top squad. E.g., they should be 3 inches closer to where they are right now. And maybe leaves all depending he wants to hold both top objectives. I'm going to tell you right now he doesn't need to. He has units of cultists in the top left-hand corner that can move through that ruin and jump on that one. So a 3-inch plus his 7-inch move, he could be 10 inch closer to those 2 Ravagers than he is right now. He does have the CP. This is going to be the last turn of the game. He can CP re-roll to try and make sure he gets into the combat. Actually, I'm trying to look for where... Liam might not have any CP, by the way, guys. He usually has a dice up somewhere here or there. He's also got the Shredder Scourges up on that terrain piece. So maybe he wants to put the cultists in there, just tap them. Cultists actually might kill Scourges, which is a bit sad considering the points differential between those units. But look, Liam's just doing his little consolidate now. Looks like not sure he is going for those Reapers, man. Maybe he thinks he's still got this game tied up and he does not need to.
And yeah, if I was looking at this in Liam's case, I know I need to get the 10 on the primary. I know that Gabe's definitely going to get 5, but he's not going to get 10. There's a bit of a cluster down on that bottom left objective. Maybe Gabe will get 10. That could be a bunch of Dark Elder units wrapped around those possessed there, so he's going to have to get in and do some damage.
Yeah. So that is very true. If he can hold Gabe to 1 objective, there's no way he catches him on the primary. And with Liam's dominant board position that he has right now, there's no way he doesn't get a minimum 10, if not a 15. So he will max that out and keep Gabe to a 30. That'll be a 15-point swing right there. And the minimum losses and the while we stand we fight will just take each other out of the game. Any one single kill will give him a 12 on grind them down. Killing the Scourges and killing that Venom will deny him also the ability to do any more engage. So I'm of the opinion that he's going to take away his engage. He's going to take away his ability to get more than 5 on primary, and that's going to seal this due to the fact that minimum losses is going to get a 15, while the 15 for while we stand we fight. The fact that I'm pretty impressed with how Gabe's been able to play and wall off and keep these Ravagers, these Reapers shooting. Look, we were talking about last night, does 3 Reapers shooting every game just kill too many possessed? The answer is close to yes. It's very close to yes, but it's not enough to stop the imposing tide that just hurts your scoring so much because it just kills everything it touches. So we've got a rolling scrum at the bottom here on that primary objective on the bottom right. Looks like to be 2 Venoms and about 2 or 3 squads there. Liam's going to put a big in every investment he's got there. He's lined up Celeste to join the fight as well. She actually has a hellacious amount of tax on top, so he should be able to clear most of what is there. Additionally, he's probably going to chuck up a couple of smites, which I think is what he's doing right now. He's smiting into that Venom on the left-hand side of the table, and then he's going to be charging his Dark Apostle in there in addition, and maybe his Master of Possession or his Sorcerer. I can't remember what he's got. But dude, what a game! What a finish!
Yeah, man. The Gabe has done everything he could to go toe-to-toe here with Liam, who, as we know, is the current Australian Master, and is playing one of these, and is playing a list that he's been playing for a long time. So I think him and Denise have been playing around with it a fair bit. They've got a bit of tabletop simulator actual practice on there as well. So it's not like these boys are just coming in and just being fresh off the boat. These guys have had a lot of practice. What have we got here? Dippy's actually, I believe, Gabe won South Australian Masters. The only reason we didn't see him in the Oz Masters is he didn't want to impact his Open run. Up to 12 games over 4 days is epic. Yeah, we actually have had a few people talk about that.
It's such a marathon. I'm actually really interested to see how Soli copes. Soli and Liam are the 2 gentlemen at this event who've played the most games, playing 3 more games than everybody else. At least one more than everybody else. Michael Nebbers just pointed out, if Gabe has bottom of turn, he can potentially move in advance, fire and fade for a Reaper for engage. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Liam has the bottom of turn, and this is the bottom of turn 4. So Gabe, and George just pointed out, so Gabe gets 15 points for while we stand, Liam gets 15 for minimize losses. They equal each other out. Liam is going to probably win because he is going to be winning on the primary as of right now. I don't think it's even going to matter if they go to another turn. The fact that Liam is up by 3 points right now, he's going to get 3 for grind them down. And he is going to get his 15 for minimize losses. It means that he's going to be probably 6 points up at the end of this game. And that might be where it ends. With 10 points, so with 10 minutes left, I'm not sure both these guys either want to commit to another turn. I think Liam just makes sure Gabe gets 5 on his primary, or either he only gets 5 of his primary if they want to go into a turn 5, or they just call it at the end of this turn, depending on how much time they've got left.
I think at the end of this turn, if you look at the game, the only real changes that are going to happen is that Liam will creep ahead a bit further on the primary. He is able to get to the 45. Gabe may get another 5 off those the far right hand objective, but he won't get any more than that. Minimize losses won't be of no effect because Gabe doesn't actually have a unit left to whittle down some of these possessed or the cultists that he's got backfield. So minimize losses will still be 15 and everything will finish off the way that it is. So an extra turn actually will not have an effect on the game.
No, it won't have a meaningful effect. There's some things that could happen, like there's a unit of 5 possessed there. They could get killed by the Reapers, e.g. that might impact his minimum losses, but I don't think it's going to impact it enough. Especially if they have a turn 5, it actually just gets worse for Gabe because there'll be another 15 points, 10 points on primary, whereas Gabe will bottom out at... So right now, there's only a 10-point differential on primary. If they go another turn, there will be a 15-point differential on primary at the end of this game.
Yeah, that's correct.
Nothing Gabe can do to bring that back, unfortunately.
So either way, Liam's gonna take this one. It looks like.
Yeah, Liam's got this one locked up. But man, what a great game to call. Man, both of these guys have played an incredible game. The fact that Gabe was able to hold Liam outside of his deployment zone. Liam has not entered the Dark Elder deployment zone. With his warp times, his advance and charges, nothing. Liam has not had a single model enter the Dark Elder deployment zone. That boggles my brain. Well done, Gabe. That's amazing.
He's definitely done well, and that's how he's been able to keep it as close as he can and keep those while we stand points running up. So in the chat there, Sanguarius Quad 9 has asked, is this tournament post or pre-Death Guard Codex? So the Death Guard Codex is not available here today. FAQs are available. The majority of the time we have like a bit of a 30-day turnaround, don't we, Adam, on new codexes and new rules, FAQ excluded. So no, this is pre-Death Guard.
Yeah, exactly right. We're just seeing one of the last charges by Liam. That 5-man unit of Possessed is charging into that back of Venom and also probably into the unit that it was protecting. Some of the opinion, we've got a bunch of racks and possibly a 10-man unit of witches to protect this objective and protect the primary score for Gabe. So if Gabe does still hold this objective, the primary score won't change. If they're going to turn 5, it'll still be a 10-point lead. Liam will max out and Gabe will go to 35. I suppose that's not a big deal. Like Liam's still probably going to win this game. I can't see any feasible way that this changes. Admittedly, like the end game scoring for Liam is actually going to be worse because he's going to get a bunch of extra points on banners as well. Although, do you still, if you end turn 4, do you score banners at the end of the game? Is it scored at the end of the game, or said it's scored at the end of turn 5?
I believe it's end of the game. So I think that would be you'd talk about it. Depends what you wanted to do. We may see these players just talk out the final turn, and they may actually just go, okay, well, this is what's going to happen, as we mentioned in some of our chats yesterday.
Yeah, so for War Magic and some of the and Sanguinarius, there are some things that work different in Oz. A lot of American events, you don't submit a list pre-event. And you just rock up on the day, you submit your list on the day, you rock up on the day and play whatever you want. In Australia, we tend to have a week or two in which you will submit your list, and then the list will be released for general consumption. Everyone will look over those lists, find anything that's incorrect, adjust them, or anything that's illegal or has been overpointed, etc., any discrepancies. We do that as a community. We do that for each other. We do that because we feel like it's a good way of playing the game. We'd rather let people correct things that are incorrect beforehand rather than getting yellows and reds on the day for just simple mistakes. So yeah, it's definitely a way we prefer to play the game. But I admit, like it does leave us like Death Guard is out this weekend and we're not playing with it. Admittedly, it's only out this weekend. Like we got pre-order last weekend, so you would have had to have had some foreknowledge to of what you were going to play. Either that or you go to G-Dub at 7 o'clock in the morning, get the book, write your list, go home, pick up your models, come to the event. Sounds exhausting to me.
Yes. Not only that, there's a few gotcha moments that can happen there with a full not understanding of the rules between players. So yeah, it's probably best you just leave it out for a 30-minute, let all the rules subside and all the knowledge get seeped in, and then carry on a bit later on.
Yeah, so interesting thing that Liam did with that top unit of Possessed. I'm of the opinion that they probably raised a banner on the left-hand top objective, but this turn they probably raised one on the right one as well. So that's going to equal essentially 4 points for that player, rather than diving and maybe failing a charge into the Reapers, which was the obvious other option he had with that unit. Yes. And also locking that down secures, in case the cultists went into the Scourges. I do want to hear something abominable. The cultists killed the Scourges, by the way. Turns out 10 cultists is better than 5 Scourges with Shredders. That hurts my soul. But yeah, that secures his primary score. Guarantees he's going to get that. Guarantees he's going to get 4 more points for Raise the Banners at the end. I was of the opinion he was going to end on about 6 or 7 for Raise Banners. That was totally incorrect, and I apologize for that, because he's going to end on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's going to get 8 more points on that. He's going to end up on bloody 13 at a minimum for Raise the Banners.
So he's going to get quite high scores here, which we know Liam's good at.
14 if he manages to clear this home objective for the Drukhari and raise a banner on it in his 5th turn. So yeah, really good play. The Venom's already been taken down from that unit. The front unit of what I thought was 10 Witches or Racks has been killed as well, and he's just trying to pick up the last stragglers of OBSEC on that, because of course that is OBSEC. They will hold that over Liam if he doesn't wipe them out, and I'm actually thinking he probably hasn't. With just under 5 minutes left, I'm interested to know if they do go for a turn 5. The Reapers won't be able to shoot, but admittedly there's nothing that they have that's really worth shooting. He might just see if they kill that 5-man unit, because if that does change Liam's minimize a losses score. Yep, they're going to turn 5. He's just chucked up his command dice. Jesus, my brain is not working. Take over for a sec. I need to rally.
Yeah, no worries, man. All right, so we are looking at some speed 40k. These guys are going to be playing Warhammer faster than Adam talks. So buckle yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to see some fast games here. We're going to have basically a turn each, in 2 minutes each. Okay, so the plan here for Gabe will obviously be to keep those while we stands alive. He's going to want to get as many points out of that as we can. Primaries, he's only going to be able to get the one on the far right, which he is just currently moved away from, but I expect to see another vehicle move up and take over that. The big cluster of a mess of the objective, which is in the bottom right corner. I'm unaware of who is holding that currently. I would say if it is some OBSEC models in there, it will be the Drukhari, and Gabe will be looking at getting 10 points. But he is max. So he was able to get 10 points. So he's up onto 35 on the primary now. That gets him to 66. So with his While We Stand, his plan is now to keep that While We Stand and keep some Engage going. So if he can get another 2 points for Engage, the Venom that we saw on the far left-hand side has died now. So it's looking like it might be a little bit out of reach to get any more Engage points. So it's looking like he is going to finish on 11, which is not a match for the 15 we will see Liam get for minimized losses. While we stand, we fight. We know that Gabe is doing everything he can to get 15, which will be able to just creep ahead. And we're going to see a bit of a close play there on Raise the Banners. He probably beat him by like 3 points there on Raise the Banners. Grind them down. Liam has raised ahead. With one more turn, all he's going to have to do is kill one of the smaller units, which he should be able to do on that bottom right-hand objective. So we're going to see another 3 points there from grind them down. So I think Liam is going to max out majority of his things there and get another run of primary. So we're looking at a very high score again from Liam.
Yeah, Gabe's gone up to 66. He did get 10 for his primary, so because he was unable to be wiped off that bottom right-hand objective. That unit is not going to survive next time, and exactly right, that's going to convert into grind them down points. Very interesting that due to being wrapped, what I thought was going to be the easy investment from Gabe into that 5-man possess squad to hurt Liam's minimize losses cannot be done because everything is wrapped off that unit that's still surviving there. So he's pivoted all his Reapers up top, and he's gonna live on a hope and a prayer that he can kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 possessed with these 3 Reapers. Admittedly, it is actually pretty good for him that he's actually still over the 11 when these shots are going to open up, because he's going to get 12 shots straight up from the first one at damage 2. What is interesting there is the way Liam has positioned it. He's probably almost definitely going to be killing himself off from the back possessed to the front ones. And then Gabe's not in a great position Gabe's in a pretty poor position to get charged on the return. Whether they have enough time to play that one out, or they just see if you made the charge and, don't move the model, see if you make the charge, roll the attack dice and see what happened there, because it's just going to affect the scores at the end. But definitely a 15 from Liam at the end of this turn, because he's going to score at the bottom, so he's going to get to clear off the unit in the bottom right before he scores his primary. Looks like he's picking off 2 of his possessed that died to the first Reaper. Of course, he's taking the ones in cover first up, which makes all the sense in the world to me. But good golly gosh, what a tight game. And yeah, look at the power of going second, guys, because that is actually what is telling right now. Dude, if Gabe went second, there's a lot more plays he could have made. Unfortunately, he's not going to get any more points for engage. While we stand, he's likely to get 15. He's just done a very clever maneuver right then. He's shot the bottom Reaper, and now he's firing faded up into the right-hand corner to get a bit more protection. I'm not quite sure where Liam's warp time is. With a minute left in the round, I will see how much they play out. I did hear a different call from the TO. The TO just got on the horn on his mic a few minutes ago and said there's actually 15 minutes left in this round. I'm not quite sure what they're going to play to, whether they're going to play to the round clock or play to what the TO has just announced on the speaker. So I'm just letting you guys know that, so that if you think this round should have ended and they should be diced down, there might still be 10 minutes left in this round, which is interesting. Maybe they started 10 minutes late. I do know there was a requirement by the TO to repair, because a few people didn't rock up for day 2. So I think he repaired a couple of times, unfortunately, which might have been due to the slow start today. Nick, I've talked enough. Tell me some things.
Mate, it's hard. It's hard to cover any more than what you've got going on there. So, like you've pointed out, he's obviously got those while we stand, we fight points hidden up in the top right hand corner. We're pretty much just winding this last game down, just seeing how it finishes up and how many points Liam can get, really, because we know where Gabe's at. He's going to finish on what he's got now, plus his while we stand. So he's done. What he can do here is everything he's done. I don't think there's anything really he can do to stop Liam. So he's got multiple. That top unit there is on multiple objectives. On the far left, he's on an objective. On the bottom, he's on an objective. And then, depending how that combat goes, he could be sitting on 5 of the 6 objectives. So there's no way of stopping Liam from getting his max 15. He doesn't have the ability to take away 15, even only getting 10 points. Even only getting those 10 points there for minimized losses, it's not going to stop Gabe from winning. All it's going to do is actually bring Liam's scores down a little bit. So while we're doing that, let's just have a little bit in the chat and see what's going on there. So Joshua Diffie's pointed out words per minute, one of the best hashtags we've got going on there. War Magic has pointed out less table bumping today. Yes, Liam at the teams event was actually one of the worst for bumping the table. He gets a bit excited, does the old pelvic thrust now and again. But he's done much better. He's done much better today. He's been able to keep it in line there. What else have we got? So, George G has pointed out, Pierce Lukey's got a 100-point win with those Templars.
Oof, my boy, the Templars. Look at them clubbing. That is a really good list. Written by the magnificent degenerate Hayden Walduck. We should get that hashtag going as well. Magnificent degenerate, because that is a very strong Black Templars list. Looks like they're pricing up this game right now. I'm not sure if they're going to bother playing anymore. That should be packed up. Look at what Liam Hackett has done. Look at it. Just look. So just to break this down for you guys, it might get a little bit confusing. He did not kill a whole unit of possessed, e.g. minimized losses is going to get his 15. Raise the banners. The top 2 have banners on them. The left one has banners on them. And possibly the bottom right one being cleared at the end of at the end of the bottom of his opponent's turn 5, got to raise one in his turn 5 and scored it at the end of the game. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he's going to score 5 at the end. So that is a 9-point swing on banners. He went from being on 6 to 15. He actually kind of scored like 17, 18 points on banners, which is absolutely ridiculous. 15 for grind them down. He got that every single turn of the game because, like we said, there was only one turn of the game where Gabe killed a unit, which was a unit of cultists. Every single one, Liam got 2 or more kills. 100-point win. This man is in a deficit of chill. If you could be in negative chill, like, true zero, where Celsius, you've got sub-zero, this guy is in sub-zero levels of chill. It doesn't exist for him. He's in a different zone. He's in the shadow realm of chill. That's ridiculous. What are you made of? Good Lord. Congratulations, Liam Hackett. An impressive, imposing win. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Sanguinaris, we do not know how the coherencies were solved. Does not matter to us. Doesn't matter. We will point them out here on the stream, and if there is any information to be had, I'll find it either from the players or the TO. But I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to walk up to Liam and say, "You made a mistake, and you shouldn't deserve to win that game." It's not my place to do that, and it's not our place to do that either. So, guys, and honestly, in hindsight, with the differences of coherency, there isn't much that would have actually changed. Had that unit of top possess, which is the one that was out of coherency, and the only one that would have mattered being out of coherency, done anything that impacted the end score, other than just sitting on that objective, which they would have been able to do already. They already raised the banners on both of them. Could have already strung across, with just 5 guys, could have already strung across and been on both objectives. It wouldn't have changed the end scores. It wouldn't have actually done anything. So I don't believe the coherency thing even mattered at the end of this game. Whether it would have changed his ability to kill that unit, that remains to be seen. But as you can see, that unit was started with 12 at the start of this turn. 1, 2, 3. It's still got 9 left. He only killed 3, so he'd still have 2 left from that unit in all likelihood, because he didn't put any fire into him in the last turn, admittedly because he was going into bottom left-hand corner. So maybe that would have changed everything in these metrics. Maybe that would have changed absolutely nothing. I'm not here to debate that. I'm just here to tell you that Liam Hackett got an amazing win, and Gabe Deload played an incredible freaking game. Absolutely stoked and happy to be able to showcase top-tier 40k at this level to you guys. Nick, anything you want to say before we sign off and grab some lunch?
No, man, just agree with you there. The 100%, the 3 great games that we've seen, I've loved all 3 of them, and I cannot wait till after lunch when we get some more games under wraps.
All right, guys, we're going to sign off. We're going to sign off from here. Hope you guys have a lovely break. We will see you, I believe, in 45 minutes?
50 minutes.
50 minutes from now. Just the big Solly's just told us 50 minutes from now. So 50 to an hour, we're joining us back again for round 5, where we have the top 3 tables in contention. Man, it's all going to get spicy from here. Thank you very much for all your support, guys. Tell your mates, tell your friends. Next game coming up in just under an hour. Peace, take care, and have a great